Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Boxingwave. We chilling today, man. We just gonna wait for this Anthony Joshua Francis Ngannou presser to begin. All right. It's just gonna be a watch along, we'll talk a little bit about the fight and then we'll go on from there. All right, what's up, everyone? Please hit the thumbs up on your way in. I don't know if this is going to be a multi-city press conference. I know they're in London now. Excuse me. Live on the zone March 8th. That's the Friday as well, so make sure you put. It's a pretty dope flyer they got. We're ready for it, and I'm so excited that it's happening. Look, we've got with this well. Dan Hardy, the outlaw, Dan Hardy, okay, they got Dan Hardy doing commentary from the MMA world. Former champion Darren Barker. Now we've got Francis Ngannou because in that unbelievable performance against, if you want to label him the linear, he is the linear heavyweight champion, world champion, and yeah, I mean now we're here. I mean he sees the moment Ngannou, he's seen what happened to Wilder. I like that. Yeah, I spoke to that. I said to him, "But why are you here?" He said, "Look, I was watching the fight between AJ and Otto Bollin, and I tweeted straight away." All right, give me a second. Let's just grab my coffee. And then we can get into some commentary, talk a little bit about this fight. Going to throw the link up later in the video, just in case anyone want to join up and share their thoughts on this fight. They're saying, the reports are saying that Joseph Parker and Zhilei Zhang is supposed to be on the undercard of this fight. I don't know if they're going to be at this presser, though. I mean, I was looking on Twitter a little while ago, and I see that, most of the video clips that they're showing and everything like that is basically just AJ and Ngannou. So I don't know if Joseph Parker and them is going to be here. They'll probably do that for another presser. But we'll see. What's up, Deuce? What's good with you, man? Good morning. Or good afternoon now. I heard that Wilder was supposed to be on the undercard, but I don't think so, because I think if that was going to happen, they would have settled it by now. The rumors were going around that Wilder was supposed to be facing Zhilei Zhang, but Zhang is supposed to be facing now. They're reporting that Zhang is facing Joseph Parker. To be honest, I didn't think Wilder was going to take that fight. Coming off a loss like that, and then going to the fight with Zhang, that could be a career-ending loss if he's not careful. Very, really dangerous fight. Might even be more difficult than the Joseph Parker fight. So I actually wasn't expecting that fight to go down. But I heard two different reports. I heard that Wilder was supposed to be on the undercard, and so was Zhilei Zhang. And then I heard that they were supposed to be facing each other. But I wouldn't expect that, I would have been surprised if Wilder took that fight right now. All right, be right back. I'm going to get some coffee. It can be a bit erratic sometimes, but against Fury, he was very much an orthodox boxer who actually switched to southpaw a couple of times as well. The biggest surprise to me was his composure, honestly. I feel like a big part of Fury's game plan was banking on the fact that Ngannou was going to be reckless, that he was going to bite on feints, he was going to lose his shape, and he was going to be there to beat him with counters. And he didn't. I think the patience of Ngannou really undermined Fury in those opening rounds. I don't know if we're going to get the same version of Ngannou, because he's now got the confidence that he can do 10 rounds, which we didn't know at the time was a question in his mind going into the Fury fight. How am I going to feel? If he has that confidence, he might think of his pace. That's incredible, by the way. You build up to do 10 rounds. Where are the 4s and 6s? It is incredible. What else is incredible? Every time I see Anthony Joshua, I've been covering AJ fight for the best part of 10 years. He's the biggest man in the room. Like physically, he's the biggest man. I just did the face-off between AJ and Ngannou. I can tell you now, AJ is not the biggest man in the room. Ngannou is enormous. He's enormous for size, and again, he's enormous, but he's got mobility with it, and now he knows he's got an engine that can go 10 rounds. Yeah, and we saw, the other thing I think that was a surprise for Fury was the strength of his arm on the inside. The posterior chain, so Fury being so tall, we know to weigh down there over people, like I would expect him to use against Usyk. He was never able to put himself in a situation against Ngannou. And I don't know whether AJ is going to be able to do that as well. Does he just avoid the clinch entirely? All
right, I'm back. All right, let's talk about this fight. Again, I'm gonna post up the link just in case anyone want to join up, chat a little bit. What's up, J-Man? What's good with you, man? All right, so this is my thoughts on the fight. I did a video when this fight was first announced, just give you my thoughts and opinion on this fight. And nothing's changed. So, like, it's not a bad fight now because we can see we seen what Francis Ngannou can do. But at the end of the day, I want boxing fights first. So even though this is a good fight and I know the timing is good, I would have preferred Joshua to fight Zhilei Zhang or Filip Hrgović right now, especially because I know he wants to get another title. He's been saying that. So I kind of, I'm not disappointed at all. I'm cool with the fight. What's up, Coyote? What's good with you, brother? How you doing? How you been? I'm cool with the fight. It's just the timing right now. It's just, I didn't like when Fury fought Ngannou. I didn't care for it. But now that Ngannou did well, I do want to see him box more. But when it comes to AJ right now, I would have preferred him to fight Filip Hrgović or Zhilei Zhang. I know this fight is probably a bigger fight, but as far as just boxing, I would have preferred those fights. Or at least at bare minimum, Zhilei Zhang should have fought Filip Hrgović in a rematch since that first fight was so close. There are other options out there. I didn't. I know Joseph Parker just beat Wilder, but I don't really want to see a Joshua rematch. Just because Joseph Parker beat Wilder. I just, what Joseph Parker did with Wilder is not going to work against everybody else. And, I want to talk a little bit more about that as soon as we find out whether or not the Parker-Zhang fight is official. It's supposed to be on this undercard. But again, Zhang is no triangle theory here. Just because Zhang beat Joe Joyce doesn't mean that he beats Parker. But at the same time, Parker is not going to win the same kind of fight the same way by beating that he beat Wilder in a way, by beating. He's not going to win against Zhang in the same way, in the same fashion that he beat Wilder. I think Wilder, that was the worst Wilder I've ever seen, and partly due to not just being rusty, but partly due just because of the preparation and the strategy. Like, what was he doing? If something's not working for you, switch it up. It's time to switch it up. And he didn't do that in a fight at all. All this moving around the ring stuff. Parker is quicker than you. Parker was able to cover ground quicker. You got to change something up. You know what I mean? So Khan says if AJ beats Ngannou, he is next for the belt. Plus, Ngannou's a bigger money fight and easier fight based off pure boxing skills and experience. I don't want to say that's an easier fight. I don't want to say it's easier because Ngannou is probably harder punching than all of these guys, A. And B, we underestimate his boxing skills already. So I get the money thing. The money fight is definitely a bigger money fight for sure. I'm not arguing that at all. I'm just telling you, as far as getting a championship, that is not true. Because As far as getting a championship, the IBF guy is Philip Hergovich, and the WBO guy is Zhilei Zhang. Those are the guys that's next in line to fight for a title. So the quicker way to fight for a title was fighting one of those two. All right. Coyote says AJ wants to fight those guys only if the title is on the line. Hopefully, after the Ngannou fight, we will know the status of the division as Fury Usyk would have happened. I think this is a risky fight. I don't think, I've said this before. This is a risky fight for AJ because you lose to Ngannou, it's gonna crumble. Like that big win you just had against Wallin is gonna just totally damage a lot of things if you were to lose. Again, Ngannou don't have the boxing experience, but he's a better boxer than what we believed him to be. And I think the preparation for this fight will be different than it was for Fury. I don't think he's that good of a boxer, but I think he's good enough. And the kind of power he has, you just can't sleep on him. A lot of determination, a lot of respect. He's focused. He's just a guy that I'm just not sleeping on. I have AJ winning the fight, but I don't think we should sleep on him as in just like this is just a tune-up to lead to the next thing. We already seen upsets. We seen Andy Ruiz beat AJ. I just wouldn't. It's a risky fight. I know the money is there. The money is always going to be there with any of these fights, but it's risky, very risky, to be the first guy to fight him after that Fury performance. I don't look at it as in like Fury proved that he's trash and he's overrated all this time because Ngannou gave him a tough fight. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as Ngannou's better than what we thought he was. You know what I mean? Previous to the fight. Ralph, what's up, Ralph? What's good? He says, shouldn't Wilder rematch Parker? Why are they looking to other boxers? Maybe Wilder. I don't know why a rematch is not happening, but I know that Parker is going to be fighting. I don't know. I can't tell you that. All I know is that Wilder was supposed to be on this card, and he's not. And then the rumors were he was supposed to fight Zhilei Zhang. So I don't know why Wilder's not on this card. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on with Wilder. Should he fight Parker again? I mean, he could, but it wasn't a competitive fight. And me, when it comes to rematches, when fights are just simply not competitive, then I don't think there needs to be a rematch right now. You know what I mean? What I do say though about Wilder is that he needs to find some time to get back in the ring, like immediately. I don't think he should have a long gap period of this not fighting. So hopefully he could get on one of these cards. If not this one, then the next. I don't think right now is about being a star. I think right now is about saving your reputation. You took a loss, it's okay, but getting back and being active is important right now. Philly Trees, what's up, man? What's good with you? Anline Offline, what's good with you? Lost One says, hey, Boxingwave, first time checking you live. One of my favorite boxing YouTubers. Watch you since Brooke and Triple G. Wow, that was a minute ago, right? Do you think Wilder will be coming back to Saudi card? Who should he fight? I was just talking about that. I'm not a fan of the Joseph Parker rematch. I'm just not. Because it wasn't competitive. It's not like Fury Wilder won. Where Wilder knocked him down a couple times. Fury to me won more rounds. So I think right now, a tough tune-up would be a good match for him. I'm trying to think of someone. I'm gonna pull up BoxRec real quick and just go down a list here. Right now, I think if Wilder was to come back right now, you know what? Be honest, I think he should fight Daniel Dubois. I think that would be the perfect fight right now. I think he should fight Daniel Dubois. Because I don't think he should go back to fighting easy tune-ups. I think he should fight a real live dog in his next fight, but someone that he would probably be favorite to beat. If he is favorite to win that fight. I think Daniel Dubois should be his next opponent right now. because both of them would have something to lose there. You know what I mean? Um, that would be the perfect fight. Accordionista 509. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. He says the video production in boxing is so bad. Imagine if the UFC tried getting away with boring press conferences like this, or with 1 hour in between fights. Yeah, I don't think every fight is like that though. I like the Day of Reckoning card. I like the timing of it. I hated the Tyson Fury and Ngannou. I mean, the fights were trash. Everyone's coming out, by the way. Now it's let me say this real quick, and thank you again. That card sucked because the delays in between each fight. But I like the Day of Reckoning. Like, everything was quick for the most part. It wasn't that many gaps. Anyway, let me get back to this presser. Everyone's coming out. I'll tell you one thing I'm happy to see. I'm very happy to see. I love the fact that I see and Frank Warren working together. You know what I mean? You guys, and Anthony Joshua and Francis is out now. They had their face-to-face earlier. They were showing clips of it. I guess, the zone will probably put that out a few weeks from now. But I love the fact that Eddie and Frank is working everything out. At the end of the day, the promoters don't fight. They're just putting fights together. And them beefing with each other is just causing more friction and less fights from happening, because they refuse to do business with each other, at least in the past. All right. They're doing all the introductions and stuff. I don't know where Andy Ruiz is. The last time I heard, he was at the Day of Reckoning card, but he needs to get in the mix. That's a person that I would have loved to see Joseph Parker rematch. But last thing I heard is that he overpriced himself for the Wilder fight. It's part of the reason why that fight didn't happen.
Sorry, I want to speak in Arabic.
To start with, I would like to welcome everybody tonight.
One thing though, I would like to go to one of these cards. I haven't been to Saudi Arabia. I was just at Dubai in July, but I haven't been to Saudi Arabia. I would like to go to one of these cards. But it's pretty expensive. I can definitely do it, but maybe I'll try to do the media route for that and go.
We are in Saudi Arabia, take extreme care to present to the markets very important matches.
Does anyone here think Francis Ngannou is going to win this fight? And if you don't have him winning, for the people that have AJ winning, do you think it's going to go to decision? Do you guys think he's going to knock out Francis Ngannou? Oh shit! I spilled all my coffee. Hold on. Coyote, you went to the Day of Reckoning fight in Saudi. It was amazing witnessing it live. Inline Offline says he thinks that I think Joshua is gonna fight like he did against Ruiz too. It's possible. I think that's possible. I think he might start that way. I think that would be the smart way to fight. Ngannou is pretty tricky. He's pretty explosive, and he's very powerful. I think fighting smart is the way to go. But I don't think he's gonna fight that way the entire fight. I think Ngannou has a puncher's chance against anyone. I don't think anyone wants to fight. I mean, it's not just AJ. I don't think anybody fighting Francis Ngannou is, you don't want to get hit by that guy. You know, like Ngannou was knocking out guys like the way Wilder was knocking out fighters in boxing, but Ngannou was fighting top tier MMA fighters. You know what I mean? There's a difference. Like his power is like deadly. You know, I mean, yeah, they also was wearing 4-ounce gloves, but still, I just don't think anyone wants to really get hit by that guy. You know, but I'm curious to see what approach Joshua is going to take in this fight. You know, also he may not fight the way he fought against Ruiz, simply because it was such a dangerous fight. It was his first fight coming back after the loss to Ruiz, and maybe he took a really safe approach just to get the win. You know, you got to remember at that time, most boxing fans thought it was a terrible idea for Joshua to do the rematch immediately. You know what I mean? So, he fought a very, very safe fight. That's probably the safest fight we've ever seen him fight. Um, he hasn't fought as like that since the Ruiz fight. That was the only fight we got that kind of movement. You know what I mean? Um, so maybe he goes back to that. You know, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. All right, but I think what AJ will do is, I think the best strategy wise, I would think AJ would be very cautious the first 2 or 3 rounds. I think Ngannou, you wanna get him to deep waters. You wanna burn him out. You know, you want him to slow down a little bit. You, AJ has the experience in boxing, so AJ wants to get him in the deep waters, and I think he should be safe early on, and then apply a little pressure midway through the fight. Just in my opinion. Says I am. I don't want to say Alu. I am not sure if 10 rounds or 12 rounds. That's another question I have too about this fight. But Joshua will not come out. It would be in the later rounds. Or AJ will win a decision. I'm leaning towards a decision. I don't think AJ is going to knock out Francis Ngannou. You know, I think he's going to go the distance. Um, Ngannou throughout his MMA career, he's been pretty durable. I think the guys that beat him, uh, Miocic Stipe beat him, kind of just slowed him down. You know what I mean? And I think, was it Derek Lewis? You know, I think that fight was just neither one of them really engaging and having too much respect for each other. Um, I don't know, man. I don't just think that Francis Ngannou. I'm not expecting him to get knocked out. You know, it also depends on the round. So, but I don't know. I'm not expecting a knockout. What I will say is Ngannou, I know there's probably periods where he's going to switch and fight southpaw again. I strongly suggest that he does it. I don't know who's on the undercard yet. They're just saying the rumor is Parker against Young. Warren is just now. He's actually talking about how him and Hearn are doing business with each other.
Begging for us to make the fights, which sometimes have been not financially viable for us to make happen, but now it's changed. It's happening so quickly, so fast, and it's one after one great fight.
Yeah, so for you guys that's checking me out and that's not actually watching the presser, this is just an Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou presser. There are no other fighters there. There's no one on the undercards there. It's just Joshua at the table with Francis Ngannou and both of their promoters. That's it. I don't know if there's going to be additional pressers though. There might be. There'll probably be an undercard press conference as well. And right now, it's just those two, and they're in London right now.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for all you've done to help and make these events happen.
I think this presser is probably going to be very respectful. You know, AJ doesn't really do much talking unless someone is targeting him. You know what I mean? And Francis Ngannou is not much of a big talker himself. He seems to have respect for everyone. So I'm not expecting like this to be an exciting press conference or anything like that.
We knew he was a tough competitor. We knew he could punch. We know that he's going to be a handful on the inside because that's the way MMA fighters fight. But he was more than that. He was a switch hitter. He got his timing right. He put Tyson, I think, through one of the toughest fights he's had.
What I will say is that I do think Francis Ngannou is probably going to be a little bit more aggressive than in this fight. You know, just off the strength that people underestimate Joshua's chin. A lot of people believe he's chinny. So I think that Francis is going to be going for the KO, you know. I think in the Fury fight, I think it was more about shocking the world in his overall ability to box. You know, I don't think, and I think now in this fight here, I think he's gonna try to like really hurt AJ. You know, not saying he wasn't against Fury, but in the Fury fight, he really just boxed. You know, and he was waiting for the right counters, and his timing was on point in the Fury fight. In this fight here, I think he's just gonna be a little bit more aggressive. You know, Coyote says, Wade, do you not think this fight will show difference in levels in boxing?
Everybody in this room would love to see that. Everybody in boxing would love to see that. So everybody's got something.
It really depends on how Joshua performs. I think this is a great opportunity to show that he's been underestimated all these years. You know, I mean, he did it against Wallin. His people really underestimated him in that Wallin fight. You know, and I think people thought that he would lose simply because of how Fury struggled against Wallin. But I think that matchup specifically favored AJ. You know, I thought Wilder would beat Parker, but I did say prior to the fight that I think Parker has a much better chance of beating Wilder than Wallin beating AJ. I knew AJ I was leaning for AJ to get the stoppage. But this fight here is a little bit harder to call. You know, I thought the Wallin fight, even though Wallin is the boxer, I think that Wallin's style matched up well against AJ. You know, whoever did the matchmaker for that fight did a good job because people believe Wallin had a good shot and he really didn't. But this fight here is a lot of unknowns. Uh, I don't know what Francis is really, really capable of as a boxer. I still don't know. You know, I don't really believe in triangle theories. I do believe in styles make fights, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I'm leaning towards. I think AJ is gonna win. I just don't know how. I'm not sleeping on Francis Ngannou. That's what I'm basically telling you. But if AJ wins again, you got to understand too, to give Fury a little credit. How do you prepare for Francis Ngannou? There's no way to really compare. There's no film of him boxing. At least now we have film. So Joshua can prepare better. He can prepare for Francis actually boxing. There's film now. So AJ should win the fight with his experience. You know, but Francis is the best in his world. And you just got to wait and see what he's going to do. And maybe Francis will have a different approach for this fight because he's fighting a guy that fights completely different than Tyson Fury. Opatai and Breeders 2 is on a Fury Usyk undercard. Is that official? I do know that Zerto is going to be facing, I forgot who he's facing. But Zerto is not going to be fighting Breeders for the IBF anymore. I know he's going to be fighting for the WBA or something like that. Oh, Golamarian. All right. He's going to be fighting Golamarian. I have that in my notes because I was supposed to do content on that. Who was supposed to fight Dorticos, but he's going to be fighting Zerto now. So it only makes sense. And that's good because I don't think that Opatai should have been stripped. None of these guys were available. People were dunking him. He shouldn't have been stripped. But thanks for giving me the news, Ralph. No, I don't know who's on the undercard. The only people that we know or they're reporting is going to be Young and Parker. What's up, Josh?
Nice and succinct. I enjoy that. Now let's speak to Francis Ngannou. Francis, your pre-fight confidence was vindicated with your performance against Tyson Fury. Now, when you said you left the UFC to have the biggest fights, the biggest players, the biggest persons on the biggest stage, it doesn't get much bigger than this, brother.
No. First of all, I thank everybody here.
He's talking to Francis now.
To come here and make this press conference great. Thank you to my brother, the Excellency, for one more time again putting me in this position, you know, to live my dream, have all those great experience, such as the one that I had in Rio 2 months ago. It was amazing. So hopefully this will be the same thing and finish the same way. I've been sitting here, listening to people talking, and even Eddie praising me, which I appreciate that. But at the same time, I'm not sure if he's honest or if he just want to get me sleep on his guy, which that's not going to happen. I'm just a beginner out here that's gonna train really hard and do everything and come as an underdog to win the fight. So I don't take my last fight as a reference and think that I get this done and think that I get everything. You know, I know exactly where I am at. I'm just a beginner, and I'm definitely gonna come up better and yes, get better and better. So that's my that's how I see things. I'm getting prepared for a top hot fight. Yes, the Tyson Fury fight was great. It was awesome, but that's now in the past, and I have a new challenge in front of me, and I take it even more serious now than before because now I think there is something there is something more on the line, which is probably the undisputed. So let's see. Maybe I will do something that nobody has done before. And I really believe that I have the tools of doing that. Starting off having a win against AJ on March 8th in Riyadh, which is going to be a big fight. Not an easy one, but a possible one. And I'm going to take that.
Francis, you haven't pulled any punches in the build-up to this fight already. You come out and said, I've heard that AJ doesn't have a chin. I'm going to test that out.
All right. So
is that your plan? Is it seek and destroy?
So basically, in a nutshell, Francis was talking about how he's learning and being a beginner. I'm sorry. And that he basically is going to keep getting better. He's going to stay around. He's going to be around, and he's going to try to go for undisputed. So they're asking him about the chin now, and he heard that AJ got a weak chin. So he said he's going to try to test out AJ's chin in this fight. They're trying to push the trash talk. I see what they're doing. These are the right questions to ask. You got to ask that question because he did say that in the interview about how AJ having a weak chin.
You'll fight anybody. I know you're chasing belts. I know you want to be three-time heavyweight champion of the world. Is this part of that plan?
Every fight leads to somewhere. So this fight is my everything, my soul, my spirit, my mind, my body. And we'll see where it leads me. But right now, I'm not thinking about any championship belts or anything. My main focus is Francis. And to be fair, getting through intense, focused training camp because realistically, how I train is how I fight. So if I get victory in my training,
so he says saying he's not focused on the championship right now. He's just focused on getting through Francis Ngannou, which makes sense. I mean, this is his opponent. He ain't gonna get no championship fights if he loses this fight.
Really gelled through the last camp, through now. You know, people are saying, I know you don't like to hear it, say, "Ask the old AJ's back," etc. What is it like working with him, and how have you found that going into this fight?
It's really good working with him, the whole team at the academy.
Oh yeah, you know, it's fun you say that, Koloyan. I assumed there was gonna be a pay-per-view. But I don't know anything about the pay-per-view. I don't know what its price is gonna be at. Hopefully it's gonna be a lower price like the last one. That'd be great if it's like $34.99 or whatever. But I'm sure the undercard is gonna be good. Yeah, Deuce. I was gonna say that when this was all over. I've said it in the last. I said this before the Wallin fight as well. Like I've said this countless times. The chinny thing is a little out of control, man. Really, it really is. Like, I don't know. Like, I know Ruiz stopped him, but I mean,
explosive.
I don't believe he's chinny.
I can counter punch. He can counter punch. He can both box, as he's proven himself to.
I don't think he has Joyce's chin, or what, or like,
Shout out to his
you know, I mean, oh, Joyce. I don't. Maybe Joyce is not the best example right now because he just got knocked out twice. But you know what I mean. Like prior to the Zhang fight, Joyce had this chin that couldn't be stopped. I don't think he's like that, but for people to be calling out his chin, I think if he's chinny, so is Fury, so is Wilder, like, so is Dillian White, so is Povetkin. Like, I don't know why I just brought up Povetkin. He's not a boxer anymore, but I'm just.
Being part of a huge event, like I said, the ability to sit with His Excellency and Frank and brainstorm about potential fights for the kingdom is a blessing. And it's been very difficult to go through this press conference with the thought of Matchroom versus Queensbury.
I agree with you, 313. This is very possible. It says Francis might be the hardest puncher AJ ever fought. He really might be.
These are the kind of matchups that we've been missing in boxing that can just happen so naturally.
He might be.
You've got someone who is so passionate. And
Who's the biggest punchers that AJ fought?
Welcome to Francis and his team.
I would say Povetkin and Klitschko.
To hear people talk about these potential matchups.
Povetkin and Klitschko.
And like I said, if you can imagine
I mean,
this fight facing the winner of Fury.
Povetkin and Klitschko got to be the top two punchers that AJ fought. Klitschko is knocking out people for years. So was Povetkin. Like laying dudes out. And Povetkin broke his nose early in the fight, and AJ still came back and stopped him. Look what happened when Dillian White fought Povetkin. You know, Carlos Takam. You know, I could go on and on. All right, that's it, y'all. It's a wrap. Not much talking. They kept it really short and sweet. I wasn't expecting much anyway. They're doing a face-off now. I was hoping. I wanted to hear more from both, to be honest, but it wasn't really much. I kind of wanted to see them size each other up. You know, Ngannou is well covered right now, so I can't really tell how much bigger he is than AJ. I do know he's bigger than AJ though, but I would have liked to see, you know.
I agree, you know, especially with all these fights being made, we don't want clashes. This is going to be a massive Friday night event. It's going to make room for the weekend. It's going to be big fights on the weekend as well, but this is going to cast a shadow.
Very short press conference, man. They could have did a little bit more than that. He's saying, look, he's saying right now, Ade is saying what I just said. Francis is wearing the African attire. You can't see the definition in him right now. But, you know, AJ is wearing, you know, the typical tight T-shirt and sweats. I would have liked to see how, like, the size between them, both of them. Yeah, looks like AJ is slightly, barely taller, maybe an inch or so.
He's not much for taking his shirts off, which I don't blame him. He's, you know,
I wouldn't mind that because he doesn't move the right stuff for naked. Top off all the time. But look, I mean, it's going to be an incredible fight. And look, it's so
yeah, AJ's definitely taller. He's probably about a good inch and a half taller. AJ looks, he's a good size standing next to Francis. But again, Francis is fully covered, so I'm sure when they have the weigh-ins, Francis is probably a little wider than AJ. But AJ is definitely taller. Not that the height is going to be a factor. They shake hands.
quiet, or is he normally that composed at press conferences?
I think a bit quieter than usual.
They should have had this fight in Africa. I mean, Saudis is paying for it, so it is what it is. But I wish this fight was in Africa. That would have been dope. All right, that's over. That's all done. They'll probably do all their interviews. You know, we'll follow up with more on that. All right, so yeah, I think, like I was saying earlier, the whole chinny thing, I'm not riding with that. I think if Francis knocks out AJ, if he were to win or hurt or knock out or drop AJ or whatever, I think it's because Francis is one of the hardest hitters out there, period. You know, he's one of the hardest punchers out there. You know, Francis probably has the power to knock out any heavyweight that's actively boxing. I don't think AJ is chinny. Again, I don't think he has an elite chin. Like when I think of people with like a phenomenal chin, I would think of Canelo Alvarez, Triple G. You know, those are the first two that come to mind. You know, Danny Garcia has a phenomenal chin. Sean Porter has a phenomenal chin. You know, even though he's been knocked down, he's have a phenomenal chin. Like I'm talking about getting hit with clean punchers, big punchers, and being able to take the hits. You know, Danny, with all his losses as a pro and as an amateur, has never been knocked down. You know, so I don't think AJ has an elite chin. I'm not saying that, but I don't think he doesn't have a chin. Like, I don't agree with that. He beat too many punchers and too many top heavyweights to be labeled a guy that doesn't have a chin. You know, just my opinion. You don't get through Dillian White, Charles Martin, Brazil, Molina, Klitschko, Takam, Parker, Povetkin, you know, beating Ruiz in a rematch, Usyk twice, Helenius, all of these guys, Kubrat Pulev. I don't think you get all through all of those guys if we were a chinny person at the end of the day. You know, he probably has a better chin, if not as good as Tyson Fury. You know, I think he has an equal chin to Fury. Fury's been knocked down so many times throughout his career, not just against Wilder, but by so many other people too. You know, some guys get hit and they get hurt, but they recover quickly. You know, some guys need a little bit more time to recover. Some guys have better survival skills. I was talking a little bit about that with Callum Smith, not knowing what to really do when he got hurt by Better BF. You know, but you know, yeah, Josh, that's a good point. Everyone is chinning to some degree when fighting heavyweights. Again, Joe Joyce, who up until this year or last year had the best chin in the heavyweight division, just got chin checked twice against Zhilei Zhang. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I can't wait. Hopefully, we get. You know what? I'm not expecting much talk between AJ and Ngannou. I don't think he'll ever get there. You know, I mean, even if you look at the Day of Reckoning card, right? Even with that card, if it wasn't for Gerald Miller, I wasn't expecting much talk. You know, and I knew Wilder. I know they were trying to sell the card by giving us Wilder and AJ on the same card. They were trying to force trash talk between those two, and it never happened. Why? Because AJ is not going to initiate the trash talk, and Wilder, for whatever reason, only trash talks on the internet. You know, he's just not that confrontational in person. He's just not. He'll go to the pressers, he'll do the face-offs and all of that, and then when he sees you in person, he kind of shakes your hand. So because of that, AJ and Wilder didn't get into it. Parker and Wilder wasn't going to get into it. You know, Wileen and Joshua got into it a little bit, but again, AJ is not that much of a trash talker. Wileen was doing the trash talking, and Gerald Miller is the one that was helping selling the fight. Even though I don't think Gerald Miller is that good, you know, even though he was popped a few times, unfortunately for him, unfortunately for, well, boxing in general, they want to keep throwing him on cards because he knows how to sell a fight. At the end of the day, that's what he does. Conor Ben is going to be facing against Pistol Pete Dobson. McGee against Raya is a good fight. I got to do a breakdown on that. That's a good fight right there. That's a good fight. That's a very good fight. You know, but I think any fights that go the distance and that's competitive is close against Jaime Munguia is gonna get the W. Yeah, so for this press conference to review it, it's nothing to review. They didn't say anything. It was short as hell. There was no trash talking. They both have a lot of respect for each other. And that's pretty much it. You know, I think at this point, it's all about what's going to be on the undercard, you know, and how is this fight going to go? You know, I do look forward to rewatching Fury against Ngannou and picking it apart. I don't think Ngannou didn't do that. From what I remember of the fight, though, between Fury and Ngannou, I think some of the flaws of Ngannou is sometimes there's certain points where I just felt like he didn't do that great of a job of keeping his head off the line unless he was just slipping and countering, which worked out for him at times. But there was a lot of times where, you know, I can see like AJ landing, you know, and again, AJ is different from Fury. He's a little bit more technically sound, in my opinion. I just think that everything's going to be tight. You know, everything's gloves is going to be up. He's going to be waiting for whatever comes back at him. I think Fury is a lot more unorthodox. You know, a little bit more elusive, you know, moves better. But I think with AJ more power, you know, straight shots are more sharper. I don't really know. I have to really go back and watch the fight. You know, I think Ngannou had a few things that really worked for him in the Fury fight, especially with the check left hook. He just knew how to counter Fury's right hand really, really well. You know, but outside of that and his strength, AJ would be better on the inside. You know, because one thing I do remember when watching Ngannou when they were tying up, it favored him on the inside a little bit, not only because he was extremely strong and Fury couldn't lean on him or use his weight and size against him, but the tying up was very different. And maybe when I rewatch it, we can go deeper into that. But what I do remember when watching, for instance, Ngannou tie up, he tied up differently than what most boxers do. You know, it's that MMA type of tying up, which could be an advantage if you're fighting a boxer. Because as an MMA fighter, you're not just defending like punches on the inside. You know, you're more like defending punches and strikes, but you're also defending yourself from getting taken down. And you saw Fury struggling with trying to hold Ngannou on the inside. But I have to rewatch it. You know, I think there are certain key things I'm definitely going to look for. Because AJ fights pretty well on the inside, you know. But he has to also be careful because he doesn't want to get clipped in an exchange like he did against Andy Ruiz. AJ has changed since that loss, and he doesn't stay in a pocket for too long. And I wouldn't expect him to in this fight, because you don't want to just keep throwing and throwing and throwing and then end up getting clipped. Even like early Amir Khan, that was one of his issues. He used to stay in the pocket too long. He used to throw too many punches in his combinations. He had to shorten that up and then get back out and move and circle the ring at times. I think AJ has changed his approach when it comes to that. I'm looking forward to the fight. Again, of course, I would prefer the boxing matches, but I think since Ngannou did so well in the Fury fight, I am kind of looking forward to it now. What I will say is this too. Um, what I will say is that I'm looking forward to Ngannou to continue boxing. I want to see Ngannou, like, if he is to lose this fight, if he does lose this fight, I want to see how he looks against the other top 10 fighters. Obviously, if he beats AJ, it's going to be big for him because now he's going to be in title contention. You know what I mean? Automatically, just like that, he's going to be in the mix with the top few guys. But if Francis loses, whether he gets knocked out or whether he loses on points, whatever way he loses the fight, what I will say is that I still want to see him fight against the other good boxers. You know what I mean? Kyle, what's up, man? You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. So my thoughts on this fight is interesting because I'll say one thing. I was watching so I think he's your guy, Boxing James. I think I actually got introduced to him through yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So and he was basically he was he was talking about the Fury and Ngannou fight, and he was like, it was a really terrible fight. So he does these live breakdowns where he does a live breakdown of the fight. And he talks about how, yeah, Fury was really poor. And Ngannou's skills in boxing is also pre-amateur. So I don't know. I don't see the threats that you guys are seeing. Yes, he's a big puncher, but we're talking about levels in boxing, right? I actually think that, and I might be wrong. I mean, all of us were giving our opinions, but I actually think that this fight will probably reveal levels in boxing. And AJ was what? He was the Olympic gold medalist
Mm-hmm.
when Ngannou was literally just about to start his UFC career or something. Like, I think there's levels in boxing. I don't think Ngannou even operates at an elite level. Yes, he's a big puncher, but there's still so many levels to go through when it comes to boxing, and I just don't think he's at that level. But again, it's heavyweight boxing. All it takes is one punch, so you just never know. But I don't really see the threat. I'll be honest.
So with that being said, but this is the thing, and this is how I look at it. Even because a lot of people think Fury just looked poor. A lot of people believe that Fury underprepared for the fight, which may be true. But even if that's so, let's say if Fury just took it easy, I think if he took it easy, still Fury is the WBC champion. Fury is this. It's levels, like you said. There are levels, and on a level Fury is on, even if you don't think he's as good as AJ because they haven't fought yet. But if there are levels, Fury should have easily beaten him no matter what. Just like if Boxing Gym says Francis Ngannou looks amateurish, in this fight. If he looked amateurish, he should have been stopped. Any version of Tyson Fury should have been able to stop this amateur. And that's my point. I think it could be a little bit of everything. I don't think anybody is wrong. I think it could be, you can be right in two different ways when it comes to this. I think Fury might have underprepared for the fight, but I also think that you didn't know how to prepare for the guy because you never seen him fight before. You know what I mean? I don't think it's just simply power. I just think that Francis' skills were underestimated. I think his speed was underestimated. I think his timing was underestimated. Everybody was just focused on power. I remember watching the live workout. Francis looked very slow in a live workout when he was hitting the mitts, but very fast when he was fighting Tyson Fury. So that's why I'm saying I don't think he should be underestimated. But now that we have a fight of his, now we have something to go to, which makes it better for AJ because he can prepare better, at least not underestimated. If AJ treats this fight like the way he treats every fight, like if he prepares like the way he treats the Usyk preparation for their fights, then AJ should beat him without too many issues. But again, I'm expecting that from AJ.
Right. And that the whole thing about AJ's chin as well, like I've never really understood why everyone keeps saying he's chinny.
Yeah.
It's just exaggerated. I mean, he took a big punch. Remember the right hand from Klitschko?
Mm-hmm.
He took that and he got up.
Yeah.
Like Klitschko is a really big puncher. I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, really big puncher. And he stopped Klitschko. He didn't, a lot of people don't give Fury credit for the Klitschko win. I mean, they do, but it's not in the same way. Like when AJ beat Klitschko, it was just like he got so much praise because it's the way that the fight went. It was just such a good fight. It was one of the best fights that year. And even though he got knocked down, he got so much praise because he stopped Klitschko. And Klitschko fought a way better fight. Klitschko fought that fight as if it was his last fight. Yeah. Whereas Fury fight is like he's losing every round. It's like watching Jamel Charlo and Canelo or Wilder against Parker, where you're losing round by round and you're not doing anything to change the pace of the fight. It's like Klitschko was stuck. He didn't know what to do, whereas when he fought AJ as if he wanted to knock AJ out.
There's a conversation I've always had with some of my boxing friends. I'm of the opinion that the version of Klitschko that AJ fought was a better version than the version that Fury fought. Would you agree with that or would you disagree?
Yeah, because Klitschko, just look at the first round. I haven't watched the fight in a round, but what I remember is just look at Klitschko and his body language in the first round. He just, right away, he was like, I'm the senior guy here. He was trying to bully AJ. Yeah. It was just a different type of fight. Klitschko was doing all the grabbing, all the people that hate Klitschko, they say that he's a grabber, he's a holder and all of this stuff. You didn't see that
he didn't do that in that fight. He didn't do that in that fight.
No, he didn't at all. And I just hate it. I hate the Fury fight with Klitschko. I can never go back and watch that fight. Because when I do, I think the last time I went back, I just went back one time because I was probably doing some film study on Fury and I wanted to prove a point. And when you watch Fury, first of all, personally, that was the best version of Tyson Fury.
I agree.
Everybody's based on this power and all that. Fury's speed and timing and everything was on point. Like he was so good at that point. And that was my favorite version of Fury. All this stuff with Wilder and stuff, it was fun. The three fights were fun. You know, it was entertaining, but Fury was his best at that point. But Fury wasn't trying to get the KO. He was just toying. He schooled Klitschko. But Klitschko did nothing but try to avoid getting knocked out. You know, and we've seen many fighters fight like that. Again, Jamel Charlo against Canelo Alvarez, or even this guy, Chris Colbert against Garcia, Hector Garcia, where it was like the guy is better than you, but you're willing to take the L, but you don't want to get knocked out in the process. That's how I look at Klitschko in that fight, in that specific fight. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my take, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, again, you know, I think with Francis, I don't think he's that good of a boxer. I just don't believe he should be underestimated by anyone. You know, I just don't think that, because we already been there. The only reason why this fight is happening now is because of Tyson Fury. Excuse me.
Do you think Ngannou won that fight? Because that's the other thing that I feel like the people that keep saying the fight, I don't even think that fight was that close. I'll be honest. I think Fury won comfortably.
I think Fury was much more consistent. Again, I have to go back. I don't know if I watched the fight for a second time, but I remember Fury being more consistent throughout the fight, whereas Francis had the better moments. Let me just say that. You know, I think Fury, you know, at the end of the day, boxing is scored a certain way.
Exactly. I was going to say boxing is not scored by moments, right?
I say this all the time. You know, certain fights, people get so excited off the moments or round where someone dominated. And I'm like, you know, it doesn't matter how good that fighter looked in that one round, that one moment that everyone remembers. You got to remember it's scored round by round. And even though Francis had some big moments and landed some big shots, I think Francis looked like he was the boss at certain points when he was pushing Fury off of him. And it looked good in those moments, but it's a 12-round fight. And when they gave it to Fury, I was kind of expecting it, you know, at the very most a draw. But I do think Fury edged it because it's about the rounds that are scored, you know? Yeah. Francis just didn't give that much every single round, you know. He didn't get that much. And I remember a lot of rounds, it was like he landed like 2 big shots, but nothing else.
Yeah, there were points in the fight where there was literally no activity.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't enough, but it was still, you know, he still was a lot better than what I expected. You know, and Fury might have not prepared again. He might have not prepared, but it's also hard to really prepare against these MMA guys. You know, I think I did hear an interview where he was saying he was like, he was preparing for Francis to be unorthodox and unpredictable. You know, it was kind of like McGregor against Floyd. McGregor was just doing stuff that was weird, you know, and you know, Floyd at the end of the day I wouldn't say he was struggling, but he was having some issues trying to read Conor in the earlier rounds. Like Conor was doing pretty good in the earlier rounds, but at some point it's a boxing match and you're going to not only slow down, but your opponent is going to start adjusting to whatever you're doing well. And Conor was kind of limited, you know, outside of that big left hand, he really didn't have anything else in there. You know, so I think as the fight went with Fury, he started to do better in the fight as the fight went on. You know, and Ngannou, you can tell he started to get more tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to the fight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I would have preferred like a Zhang fight or, you know, a Hergovich fight, even though those are not bigger names. They're more respectable wins, you know, opponents, and especially those 2 fighters will put you in position to fight you for a title, which some of those titles are going to get vacated, you know, and Fury is locked into some kind of rematch clause with you know, Ngannou, which is recently has been said by Ngannou in that MMA Hour podcast. He recently said that he's due to have a rematch with Fury later this year. You know, and I don't think a lot of people know that because it wasn't said on a boxing channel.
Yeah, I heard that as well, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that's actually. I don't know if that's signed in contract. I think he was just promised.
Yeah,
That's why.
maybe.
That's why.
Yeah, I would think the Usyk rematch clause is probably something that's official.
Yeah, it sounds to me like that's more official.
Yeah, that sounds like more legitimate to me. But Fury is very unpredictable. Again, we're talking about a guy that just fought Ngannou and Derek Chisora for a third time. Like, no one was asking for either one of those fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, Fury's gonna do what he wants to do, especially if he doesn't come out to be the winner in this fight. You just don't know. What's good, nerd?
What's up, man? How you doing, man?
Good,
Feel
man.
weird to be on this. Hey, how you doing, Coyote?
Yeah, that's correct.
Ah, cool.
It's good, man. What's your thoughts on all this?
I just joined in. What you talking about?
We're
Joshua
talking about
Ngannou?
we're talking about Ngannou and just in general, you know, Fury and how their fight went and how this fight with Joshua is gonna go and stuff.
I mean, it's really hard to. Let me turn Martin off. It's really hard to sort of judge Fury on that performance because was he really taking it as seriously as people thought? I don't think so. I mean, look at his performances. I mean, obviously his performance against Wilder is not something to sort of take lightly either, but against Ngannou wasn't something Tyson Fury I don't think was really. We'll see when he fights Usyk. We'll see which Tyson Fury shows up. And I'm looking to Tyson Fury to show up and be the guy he's been talking, you know, he's been all this time, you know. And Ngannou is doing something amazing in getting two shots at being the top dog, you know, and he's not no pushover too, because of his size, his ability. He showed some ability definitely during that Tyson Fury. And what craziness would it have been if he had won that fight? Would have been mayhem.
Yeah,
So,
like I said earlier, I think two things could be true. I think Fury might have. Oh, I think it's actually 3 points for me. The three key points is I think Fury might have undertrained for the fight. B, Fury didn't know how to prepare for the fight because there's no film on the guy. The guy's an MMA fighter. You're learning about him too.
Yeah,
you're learning that what worked for you in other fights didn't work here. You know, because it's different. It's a different fighter. And the third thing is, I think Francis was underestimated. I think he was a little better of a boxer than all of us believed he was, you know, before the fight. So, I mean, we just got to wait and see, at least for AJ. I don't think AJ is going to take him lightly. And I don't think, and AJ obviously could know what to prepare for, unlike Fury. You know, Fury, I was watching, when I did a breakdown, I'm watching the Gone fight, the Stipe fight, the MMA fights in Francis. His opponents over there. Stipe is a pretty good striker, so I'm watching that fight. Stipe is not Tyson Fury. You know, Gone is not Tyson Fury. So I'm like, I'm basing.
But the thing about Ngannou is that he has the sort of, I guess the mentality to learn new things and apply it very well.
Yeah.
And perhaps even in sparring, he's fighting dudes that are like really, you know, professional boxers and really probably doing well in that because he has the I guess the natural ability to understand what needs to be done in certain situations. Can he? I don't know if he can be prepared enough to do all the things that Joshua is good at doing. I don't know if because Joshua's going to land that one punch, and if it does something to Ngannou, I think it's probably over if Joshua sticks to his game plan, which he's been pretty good at doing in terms of not going Andy Ruiz and getting knocked out, going crazy and trying to prove something to everybody. Damn, I lost $1,100. My boy, the guy that I make a bet on, didn't pick up. I was gonna make money that day, but that's what I feel on that. Yeah.
So, in case you guys don't know, something I realized as well, Ngannou actually has a longer reach than AJ. So Ngannou's reach is 83 inches. AJ's reach is 82. So Ngannou might actually have the slight reach advantage. So
having that reach advantage and being able to know how to use it is going to be.
AJ has a great jab. You know, I don't think Ngannou is nothing I remember from the Fury fight where I could say that Ngannou's jab is going to equal up to that. But again, yeah, like you said, learn how to use it. AJ it's going to be a different kind of fight, man. And like one of you guys said it in the comments, what if AJ fights the way he fought against Ruiz in a rematch, where he's like really
that's the way he's going to do it,
using distance and moving and using the ring.
He ain't trying to be trying to make this a historic night for Ngannou on his behalf. No, my friend. He is going to fight like he did the second fight against Andy Ruiz, and he's going to get his chance once he lands a couple of shots to really understand what he's going to be able to do in there. If he doesn't move Ngannou, then it's going to be a long night for Joshua.
So I was actually saying in the chat, I don't think AJ can fight like the way he fought in the Ruiz 2 fight. Because if you remember in the Ruiz 2 fight, he was like, what, 230 something, 240? AJ now weighs what, 250s? He's close to 260s.
Yeah, he put the weight back on now.
Yeah, so I don't think he's gonna fight like that, where he's constantly moving. I think he's just gonna fight very intelligently. He's gonna use step backs. He's gonna probably use his he's going to use like what's this thing where he's like moving L steps, moving like very small distance. I don't think he's gonna fight like the Ruiz 2. I don't think he could even do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do it. Neither, simply because, I think he could, but I don't think so. Only because I think he fought that way based on that it was like an absolutely must-win fight,
and this isn't.
And I know it is. I know, but he's coming off of a knockout loss, bro. It's a different approach. Every fight is a must-win fight for AJ at this point in his career.
But if he loses to Ngannou, what happens to his career then?
Yeah, every fight at this point, any loss at this point is damaging. He must.
But losing to Ngannou is worse, yo.
Helenius is a must-win. Franklin is a must-win. Pulev is a must-win.
Certainly. Those are.
But you coming off the confidence needed to get. You needed to win. You needed the moral victory. You needed the official victory. And going into Francis Ngannou is different. I think he could fight that way. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not dismissed. You might be right. But when I'm not expecting it, because I think AJ at that time was like, yo, I gotta win this fight. People think I'm gonna lose. No, people don't want me to rematch this guy right now. Yeah. So what I need to do is win and make it a definite win, which is what he did.
Yeah, I think he'll use elements of footwork and all that other stuff that he did in that second fight. But he's gonna certainly try his ability to get in there and really hurt Ngannou and try to get him and not last with him. I don't think he wants to go 12 rounds with him. But let's see. He might again.
I don't think so neither. I think AJ. I think when it comes to these common opponents,
it's a 10-round fight, by the way.
Huh?
It's a 10-round fight.
Yeah, when it comes to Fury, and being that him and Fury hasn't fought yet, right now it's like, you have a common opponent with him. you just want to terminate the dude. You know, this guy beat you up, look good against you. I want to terminate this guy, like straight. I want to get him out of here, get him out of the mix. And a lot of fans want that. I've been reading comments. A lot of fans just want him to get destroyed because they want to end this whole UFC crossover thing. They want him out of here, you know. And Francis, as much as I love him as a guy, like a man and a fighter,
No, certainly.
he's just in the way right now with boxing. I can't root for him because you just in the way because we're coming to a close with this generation. And you shouldn't have even been in the mix, but because of Tyson Fury, he gave you the opportunity and he shined in that fight, and now he's just automatically in the mix.
If you want him out the way, that is why Joshua cannot lose this fight. He cannot lose this fight.
Now
he can't even make it look close. Yo.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He can't make it look close because if he makes it look close, they're going to say, "Damn, this dude really legit." He just fought the two of the three or four top dogs in this past generation and look good twice. You know, you don't want to go into a decision and be like, "Damn, yo," you know what they're going to say? "Damn, they just keep robbing my man, Francis Ngannou. He keeps getting robbed. He should have won this fight." And then now somebody else that is really good is going to want to fight him, or one of those two are going to rematch him.
I'm telling you, the boxing gyms are you can't even get a gym membership at the boxing gyms because everybody believes they got a shot, yo. Look at Jake Paul. Jake Paul's making millionaires, giving everybody a lottery ticket. Anybody who's athletic and got a chance.
I actually think that whole thing is not going to be that as successful.
I mean, it's only with Jake Paul, right? That's it.
Nah, there's a few of them. I think even because Tyson Fury is a boxer, but he's not Tyson Fury. The other Fury guy. What's his other name? The cousin.
Oh, his nephew or cousin.
Tommy Fury.
Tommy Fury.
I honestly think that I'm not saying they're not going to do their numbers, but I think the championship, like the main fight, was between Jake and KSI or Tommy Fury. I think that is going to slow down, especially because the Saudis is giving us these cards right now.
Right.
And I think the more fights that we get, the more undisputed fights and all that, that's going to shut that shit down. I think it was a good run because it was something different.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's here to last. Like, it's not. I think people are going to get tired, especially because those are pay-per-views and people are not trying to spend. This is something I wanted to get off my chest going into the new year. I don't think that thing is going to be that big this year. I think it's going to start slowing down with all these celebrity boxing matches and stuff this year. I really do. You know, I think Francis is working for him because he is a real fighter, you know, and he's one of the best over there. And, you know, I mean, it only makes sense for him to come to boxing because he wasn't getting the money over there, you know, getting $600K for your top. That's crazy.
That's ridiculous.
$600K, like you're still making, like, I don't want to say normal people because you're still a 1%er if you're making $600K, but you're like, there's guys that's making $1 million in boxers and they're not even like the super elite. The super elite are making 10, 20, 30 million per fight, at least.
Especially knowing that the UFC is $1 billion corporation. It's billions of dollars of corporation, and they're getting a fraction.
What's going on there is absolutely insane.
Yeah. But you know, one thing I will say is that some of the boxers probably were overpaid over the years. As much as I want everybody to get their money, some of them were overpaid in the sense that they weren't making the money back. You know, I mean, look what's happened with Showtime and the PBC. So some of them were being overpaid, and I like the structure of the UFC as far as like the rankings. Like there's one belt, there's one ranking. When you're the champion, it doesn't matter if you're coming off a layoff. There's no tune-up. You got to fight. Some fighters cherry pick. Yeah, certain fights should happen that shouldn't happen. But for the most part, you got to fight the best every single fight. Those are why those guys over there got losses.
Yeah.
They got losses. They be like, yo, this is the best guy. Damn, he got lost 6 times or 12 times in his career as an MMA fight. Yeah, but he's still number one. Why? Because they fight somebody tough every single fight. Boxers don't do it.
Everybody is there to knock you out. Everybody's there. There's nobody that's there to lay down.
Yeah. So, again, I'm looking forward to the undercard. What do you guys think on? I might as well speak on it now. Parker and Zhilei Zhang. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's an interesting fight to see two guys. I mean, you already know how I feel about George Joyce, Boxingwave, and seeing Joseph Parker, who was always a skilled guy, but I guess never really showed up when he was given the biggest opportunities, and then win the big fight and be, to be champion. He was always good. So this is an opportunity for him to fight somebody that people have been seeing highlights of for the past few months after Joe got knocked out, because that's some video game type knockout.
Yeah.
So that's a good fight.
Yeah.
What do you think,
It's
Coyote?
definitely a good fight. Zhang really impressed me with those two Joyce fights. He's a real problem for any heavyweight. He has power in both hands. He's got speed. I mean, Parker is gonna have to be very careful.
Yeah.
And it's southpaw,
Parker
right?
is
Zhang is southpaw.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I think I'm gonna go with Zhang to probably knock out Parker.
Wow.
But Parker has speed, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, that should be a good fight.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Zhang. I don't know if it's gonna be by knockout. I think Parker's gonna have a hard time, just dealing with Zhang and getting the timing down like the way he did against Wilder. I think that Wilder fight, just because it was a great performance, it was a very good performance, but I'm not forgetting the other Parker fights. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't just dismiss those. A lot of people get caught into that, and I'm like, nah, Zhang is actually a really good fighter, and he's a southpaw. He's a big guy, and he knows how to use his size. He used it against Joe Joyce both times. He's quicker than he looks, yo.
Yeah.
He's quicker. That's
He's
why
got fast hands as well.
yeah, he's quicker than he looks. He has the amateur background. I know he's older, but like a lot of these freaking 35, 36 and plus fighters are running the show right now. Look at Better BF the other day. Like, you can't sleep on these guys, So Parker, I feel like Parker can win, but Parker got to fight like a perfect fight against this guy. And it's harder to do that because he's not bringing what Wilder was bringing, all that unnecessary movement around the ring and all that. Didn't really have anything to adjust to. Zhang is legit. He has the power, he has the speed, he has the timing, and Parker has to do a lot more to win that one. And like you guys said, he always just barely. He never really pulls a trigger on the big fights. He just never do. I mean, he did against Wilder, but I think half of that has to do with Wilder. When Parker fought Joyce, Joyce, who else? AJ, Dillian White, even. You got to go back to all of these fights and be like, Parker did well against some of these guys, but he just never really did enough. Even when you go to the Andy Ruiz fight, that was a very debatable fight. If that fight was in America, that might have went to Andy Ruiz that day.
Yeah.
That's why I say they should run that fight back. All else fails, before those two retire, they should run that fight back at some point. That was a close fight. But I don't know. I'm leaning towards Young, but I say it's like 60-40, maybe 55-45. I think Parker has a chance, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Who else is on the other card?
That's it right now. There's no one. Even that fight hasn't officially been announced. Like, they weren't at the press conference today. It's just the reports are just now getting out there, like today and yesterday, that Parker and Zhang supposed to be fighting. No one was at the press conference today, but not Wilder, Joshua and
Wasn't Wilder supposed to be on the undercard?
And Donald. That's what they said. They said Wilder was going to be on the undercard, and they say Young was supposed to be on the undercard, but they didn't say that they were fighting each other. They said that both was going to be on the undercard, and then they started saying that Young and Wilder were supposed to fight each other, and that they were waiting on Wilder to sign for the fight. Like, I'm hearing all this stuff, but
Wave, let me ask you a question.
that
What
would
do
have
you
been
think-
a bad matchup, by the way, for Wilder. To
Oh
come
yeah,
back.
I was yeah.
What
That
do you
would've
think
like-
about Wilder fighting right now? What do you think about him?
Zung would have
career
destroyed
going
Wilder.
forward?
I said right now, I said this earlier on the live. I think Wilder needs a comeback fight, but it can't be a super easy tune-up because there's been too many of those in his career. So I said, give him Triple D right now. Get Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois took his losses, but he came back, beat Gerald Miller, right? And he needs a win bad too, because even though that was a great win, it was still like, how good was Gerald Miller all this time? The guy juiced up how many times in his career?
Yeah.
So it's a good win, but it's a winnable fight. Yo, a couple months back, if Wilder was fighting Triple D, everybody would have been like, yo, Triple D is going to get knocked out. Now it's like,
It's a toss-up.
pretty good fight. It's a good comeback fight for both. And I would expect Wilder to still maybe be a slight favorite, like a slight favorite, not a heavy one. I don't know. I think that would be a good fight right now.
Yeah, I think that the problem is with the last Wilder Parker fight, people are just questioning whether Wilder still even wants to fight. Like, he didn't really show like he's still a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've made so much content about Wilder, man. It's just, since let me say this, man. I've said this before. Because I've been following Wilder for a long time. Like, all these so-called fans of Wilder are not real fans. Like, I've been there. I've been watching this guy. Dude's really a nice guy, yo. He really is. It's just that he fell into this hype.
Yeah.
And then it's like he turned into a different person. And he was not like that. And now it's like he's forcing himself to be someone he's not. You know, you can tell. Why you act crazy on the internet, but at the press conference, you was super humble when AJ was standing right there.
Yeah,
you know why?
Yeah.
Because that's not his character. This is not his character. But on the internet, on Instagram, he's talking like, yo, this guy is scared of me. I don't know. I gotta have to call him up. It's like, yo, even back then with the email thing, I sent him the email, $50 million. What you gonna do? He is not that person.
Yeah.
They made him that person on here. Wilder is not that person. Wilder is the nicest guy. You can tell he's always been the most humble guy.
All right, can I just ask a question? When he does these weird interviews with 78, do you think he's pretending there, or do you think he's himself?
That's not him. I'm trying to tell you, bro. That's
you
not
think
him.
so?
That's 78 in that crowd. That's them. 78 is about that. He's always been about that. That's not Wilder. It's just that Wilder was getting love and support from 78, and for good reasons. But Wilder, why you think he went like 8 months without addressing the glove gate, and then out of nowhere he popped up like, yeah, all this shit is true. Egg legs, glove gate, all that shit. Because Wilder's not really about that. He's not. He got forced into thinking that, and he fell into his own hype. I feel bad for him. I do. I feel bad for him because I know he's made a lot of money, but you see the insecurities there. Like, you see, like, you can just tell, like, he's unsure of himself, you know? And I think a lot of those fights, like the fight with his trainer, what's his trainer name? Yo, bro, if that fight was a real fight, he would have had trouble in that fight because Malik Scott at that time was a step up for Wilder. But we don't know. That's your man. And you blocked the punch and you went down and you didn't get back up. And then after that, y'all brothers. Like, come on, dude. Like, I know I'm not crazy. I know I'm not crazy.
No.
Like, y'all brothers now? Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Nah, that's scamming. And he's getting by of certain fights because he's getting treated. He's getting carried through these fights. They're not putting him against the real comp.
Yeah.
It is what it is, man. Like, Wilder's a good fighter, but he fell into the hype. And then what he should have been doing in the meantime was working on his flaws throughout these wins. No, they weren't against the best fighters, but he should have been working on the flaws that he had, you know, this training, his preparation, all of this stuff should have been worked on. And Fury was not supposed to be that good in the first fight. He wasn't supposed to be. He wasn't. That was a cherry pick with a name that just went wrong. It was a cherry pick. You know, Fury didn't look good in those first two fights he came back in. He didn't look that good. He looked very beatable.
Yeah.
If Fury would have fought AJ right away like that, hell no. They both cherry picked each other. But Fury knew, he was like, "Yeah, I can beat this guy on my worst day," which he pretty much did, in my opinion. He won.
Yeah.
So I mean, we just gotta be real. So when it comes to Wilder, you know, I mean, I don't know right now. I'm lost because I don't know if he wants to box. I don't know what he wants to do. But all I know is that another loss can be really, really damaging right now. You know, and he shouldn't have went that long without fighting.
But what kind of loss? Is it a knockout loss, a loss period, or what kind of loss will be damaging?
I think
Because if he loses a regular fight, like he lost a 12-round fight, unanimous decision, he loses. But if he loses badly, like a knockout loss,
I think it doesn't matter. Because if he loses again, it's just going to be to another name.
Certainly,
like
but
Joseph Parker beat you and Triple D beat you.
But I'm talking about him taking blows.
His resume is done.
No, but him taking unnecessary blows. Let's say he gets knocked out badly this time. He hasn't been really knocked out badly. But
no, I don't think it's about getting knocked out. It's about, were you overrated all this time? Because Joseph Parker is the best name on his resume outside of Fury.
I'm talking about his health. I'm talking about his health. Getting unnecessarily, taking punches, not knowing that he's possibly not able to compete with the big dogs. Let's be honest, he can't compete with these guys, yo.
Well, maybe that performance was, maybe that approach he took in that fight against Parker, it's because he don't have the durability anymore to go in there and bang it out like he did with Fury and other opponents. Why did he not take any risk at no point in that fight? Why? Maybe it wasn't just timing. Maybe it wasn't just rust. Maybe having those two knockouts of Fury, maybe it did damage him. Maybe he did lose a lot of confidence.
A lot of people have been saying that those fights with Fury, literally both of them they may have damaged each other in those fights. Because he took a lot of punishment from Fury in those two.
Yeah, and he took the punishment and then he didn't fight for some time. Yeah. He fought Robert Helenius. And this is what I mean about the resume. It's like you fight Robert Helenius. That was your sparring partner for your last camp.
Yeah.
You knocked out a guy that you know exactly how he fights. Of course, you knocked him out in the first round. And then AJ go and fight him, and AJ goes to a few rounds with him. And now everybody like, look, well, Wilder knocked him out in the first round. Look at AJ. It's like, yo, bro, this guy has sparred how many rounds with this man? This guy's part of his camp. Why you keep fighting people that you know it's like you comfortable with fighting with? What's up, Will? What's good, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
Yeah, I was catching a lot of the. How you doing? Catching a lot of the interesting commentary. Has there been any announcement on Dillian White returning to the ring? Because I was considering possible next opponents for Deontay Wilder, and I know you had said that maybe they should just do the Big Baby Miller versus Dillian White. This is at the time of the last press conference, right? They were saying, okay, Juicer versus Juicer, essentially.
Yeah,
and I was thinking, yeah, right. I thought that's
why I was laughing.
But I was thinking maybe as a comeback fight for Deontay Wilder, perhaps now would be the time to finally do the Dillian White, Deontay Wilder. Just given, I mean, the vulnerability, it seems like Wilder has to answer the question whether he still even has the appetite for destruction like he used to. And then with Dillian White, I mean, this is kind of like what his third strike in terms of testing positive. So, I mean, he's all but done. He's in his mid to late 30s. I'm just thinking maybe it would be a good comeback fight for Deontay Wilder.
Where is White? Because he hasn't done one. He hasn't done one interview since he failed.
I don't think they gave an official like suspension statement period. I don't think it's ever been reported. Maybe it has, but I don't. If they did, I don't know it.
I haven't seen anything officially.
It's kind of just like it happened, and we didn't hear anything else about it.
Yeah,
like,
he's completely gone ghost. He's gone ghost completely.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like I said before, that would be a good fight. But again, it's like, is he suspended? He probably is suspended. He probably
quietly
is.
serving the suspension. Yeah, he could be quietly, privately serving that suspension.
Actually, that's the best way to do it because it makes people forget. Like just now, like I forgot about him. I haven't brought him up in anywhere because I forgot all about him. You know, I think right now though, I would think that's an easier fight for Wilder than Triple D right now.
What I mean, what can I ask you guys?
In my opinion,
what is the end goal? The end goal for Wilder? He's what, 38, right? What do you think the plan? If you are on his team, what is the plan? What is the purpose of continuing on with this career?
Make big fights, get big money, and get out the game.
But he's 38, and he's already, in my opinion, proven that he's not going to be able to compete at that level. If he goes in there with Dillian White, he loses that. He hasn't been. He's all we've seen in terms of highlights of Wilder is him knocking people out. He hasn't landed combinations and he doesn't do that. And if he gets in there with somebody like Joshua, obviously we're not going to see him with Tyson Fury again. Are we going to get to see Wilder versus Usyk one day? Maybe. I doubt it, but if we do, I mean, what will Wilder have done to earn a shot is what I'm asking.
I feel like Wilder's in one of those positions where he's always one win, one knockout away from another huge opportunity. He's kind of one of those. He's established himself as one of the biggest names in the game, right? So you were asking, okay, what's the point at this juncture of him continuing? Boxingwave pointed out big fights. Okay, so yeah, first and foremost, just get the biggest purses possible in your last couple of fights. I also think that it could be a case where if we're talking about his resume and he's got the Fury fights where he's got the Fury draw, you could argue the Fury draw might be the biggest notch on his resume, along with the 2 Luis Ortiz wins. Beyond that, it was Bermain Stavern, Chris Arreola, and then you had a whole bunch of C-level, mid-tier guys. Maybe, and I was thinking that Joseph Parker, a win over Joseph Parker would have satisfied this. But whereas Anthony Joshua never fought Tyson Fury, at least as of now, or Deontay Wilder, he had all of those B+, A- level wins. Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, and so forth. That is what Wilder has been lacking, has been those Dillian White, Joseph Parker, Povetkin level wins. So maybe if you can get 1 or 2 of those, maybe that could put him over the hump in making a Hall of Fame if you don't think he's a Hall of Famer at this point.
Oh, hell no.
No?
Wilder?
I think Wilder will make Hall of Fame, though.
Nah,
what do you think?
Well, what I will say is that people in boxing, fans, we forget, like, you're as good as your last win, man. If he gets one decent win, people are going to be like, oh, he's back.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at Joseph Parker right now. Like, that win, you seen what people have said since that? There are people that are just hyping it up because he beat Wilder and because they hated Wilder. But there's some people that are just like, Parker, that's his biggest win right now. You gotta understand, like the hype with him right now is like, yo, AJ. I'm getting comments like, yo, AJ should definitely be rematching him right now. This is what I'm saying. Like, it really depends on the last fight, and Wilder getting a pressing whip. Like again, Daniel Dubois is hot right now. Same with him. Daniel Dubois beat Gerald Miller, who's been rusty, who's coming off of juice. He's overweight, all that stuff. So as soon as he got that win, everybody put him all the way up here, just like that. So with that being said, you gotta remember Wilder can take one good win right now, and he could be right back in the map, even with that loss to Joseph Parker.
That's true.
Because they're gonna say that, you know, only reason why Wilder lost that fight is because he was rusty and he has been out the ring and he hasn't had any rounds. He only had one round in 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Can I say one thing before I leave, because I have to do daddy duties? But I wanted to say one thing about Wilder. I'm not a Wilder hater, because I'm pretty sure people look at me like, "Oh, you're a Wilder." I'm not a Wilder hater. I've seen a lot of Wilder's fights, but me as a boxing fan and having watching boxing for years and years and years and years, to me, he's never really shown that he's capable of being in there with the best. And that's my critique of Wilder. He's been able to be exceptional at doing one thing. That's it. And for me to say, to even have the conversation of whether or not he's a Hall of Famer is crazy to me, you know, because again, if all of you are boxing fans and y'all seen boxing for a long time and not just got on it because of Jake Paul, then you know Wilder is not capable of being in there with the greats. His name shouldn't even been mentioned with Holmes, Tyson, none of them.
Yeah, but they're gonna put him in there. If they do put him in there, it's gonna be because the number of title defenses. That's exactly
that's what I was thinking.
Yo, did you remember? I know you remember this, but about 4 years ago, they were like, "Yo, he's one of the best because he beat Ali,
defended the title
or whatever." They were saying
like 10 times or something.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. These are official defenses.
No,
and even though the quality is not that good, which it wasn't, this is how people get in. And you know, you just never
also
know.
The Hall of Fame, like there's so many people who are in there that haven't really done much. So I actually don't think it takes much to get into the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion.
It's definitely one of the more lenient in terms of the threshold. It's a little bit inconsistent and arbitrary too. I feel like the argument for is, like you said, it's the WBC heavyweight title reign. The amount of it's almost a Gary Russell Jr. argument, even though I don't think he'll get in. He was the WBC champ through several title defenses. So Wilder had that. And, you know, there was a point in his career I thought he was skill building. Around the time he won the belt from Bermain Stavern, he won that via decision boxing a bit. And yeah, Stavern had slow feet. But I was thinking at that point, is he actually developing some skills now? But then ever since that, it seems like it's been feast or famine in terms of what he's bringing to the table. Either he's knocking you out or he's losing the round.
Yeah. No, yo, thank you for coming by. Again, just man has if you're into comics, he has a channel. Check him out, man. Follow the channel.
Have a good day, gentlemen.
Later.
As well.
Focus. What's up, Focus, man? What's good?
What's up, man? What's up? I didn't want to cut in. Wave, just want to say salute to you, sir. I've been a fan for about 4 years now since the pandemic started. Congratulations on the channel, man. And when you start releasing those merchandise, I want to be the first one that purchases from you. Seriously, I'm gonna be pushing it.
It's coming soon, actually.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, man. Yeah. Sweaters, whatever you got, I'll be in it. But listen, I wanted to cut in. I know you guys were talking about the heavyweight division, but listen, I've been a big fan of your channel and I binged all of your videos. I wanted to comment on the Dimitri Bivol Beterbiev fight. I just saw your preview for it this morning. I don't think it's as 50-50 as you're probably making it, man. I think Artur Beterbiev is an unnatural human being. I don't think people have seen stuff. You know, it's funny. I watch a guy. I'm sure you're familiar with Greg Hackett. I view his videos sometimes, and I hear a lot of stories about that guy. Now, when you got a guy that can box and punch you with enough ferocity that, like, you know, you start thinking the mind doesn't work as well. I know Bivol gets a lot of attention for his IQ, But all that goes out the window when you're in pain, bro. When you're hurt, when your body starts. Listen, I'm not a professional boxer, but I'm in the gym sparring a lot, and them body shots make you tremble, man. They make you think. A friend of mine hit me. I forgot where he hit me, southpaw. He might have hit me with a left to this side of my body. I swear to God, man, everything I had intended to give him work, because he was going to the Olympic trials. Everything I had intended for him went out the window with that body shot. And I don't think it says, listen, it'll be competitive until it's not. I got better BF stopping him, and somewhere between wherever Volstick got stopping, wherever he got stopped in, whatever round that is, I would give Bivol either the round before or the round right after that. You know, so it was a lot to say in that video, but I wanted to come because it's a fight like you've been mentioned. I've been really, and you know what? Last thing before I go, because I don't want to talk too much and hold you guys up. I think because you mentioned this too, we have a lot in common as far as like, so outside of the Errol Spence Terrence Crawford thing, we got a lot in common. And I think those guys deserve a lot of criticism because unlike Spence and Crawford, no one's giving him shit for not fighting these past couple of years. That fight needs to be next. I think we need to boycott whatever fight they have if it's not each other. Seriously, that's a big problem. Them niggas been holding up them titles for the last few years. Get it on or don't at all. You know what I mean? But I think it's an incredible fight because of the styles. But I don't got it 50-50, my brother. I don't.
All right. So let me just say that since y'all here. All right. I'm gonna pick Better BF.
Bro, you gotta pick the big homie, bro. He's a boy. You don't see guys walk around like that.
I like to say this for the breakdown.
You've picked Bivol in the past.
Yeah.
I've switched before, but for many reasons he just said, I just, if Better BF wasn't that good of a boxer, I would probably definitely
pick for sure. Yeah,
but Better BF, even if I think Bivol has a better IQ on it, it's like barely.
Yeah.
But the power is like, he said exactly what I was going to say. The moment you get hit by this guy, it's just like, yo, and for me to see his fights live, and hear the dud in the arena, I expressed that. Joe Smith, I was in the back watching it, and I heard it. And you know, Joe Smith never gets knocked down by nobody. And then the same thing with Yard. As soon as he got hit, you just felt like, oh man, this guy, I don't know this guy. And he did good, yo. He survived, but again, Better BF, the overhand right is going to be the problem, man.
Yeah, it's
right, or the hook to the body, because this guy, he has a great. I mean, he's good with the high guard and everything, but you get hit with one. It's just like, how do you go 12 rounds? Even if you're doing well, even if you're winning the rounds, like I said, 12 rounds though, you gotta be like perfect against that guy.
Can I say,
because you don't have KO power,
right? Can I say this? And I'll leave after this, but the reason why I said that, right? Now I was looking at him at the amateurs when he fought Alexander Usyk. Now he put that boy down, right? And I get it, Alexander won. I get that, you know what I'm saying? But he only had 3 rounds to work with. Bivol got to try to survive 12 rounds of that shit, bro. 12 rounds with smaller gloves, with an intensity that who knows what a damn 40-year-old man is going to come with. He's going to come. When he started off with, it's funny, I was watching your live, right? During the commentary. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta put this down, man. This guy's gonna stop this man soon. Because he came out aggressive. He came out ridiculously aggressive. You don't see that often in that division, you know. With guys that hit that hard, you want to ease your way in there. You never know what's coming back, but he's very, very particular. He's precise. So listen, I say this as a guy that kind of wanted to lose like 2 of his last 3 fights. Like, I like Joe Smith. I like Anthony Yard a lot more than I did him. I was hoping he lost, but he bamboozled them guys, man, you know. So listen, I'm looking forward to the fight, but more important, I wanted to come on here, man. Listen, I wanted to talk to you face to face, man. I really been a fan of this channel. I kind of hope you grow. I mean, I know the channel grew a few thousand subscribers since I've been here, but you deserve a lot more, my brother, for sure. And I will
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I look forward to the merchandise. Holla at y'all.
Take care.
Thanks, Focus.
What are your what's your thoughts now?
I can't.
That's it.
Wait, first and foremost, I'm picking Bivol in that fight. I've always picked Bivol. I think that if there's one thing Bivol is really good at, is fighting a 12-round fight, being able to survive. Like that's his thing. So I hear what you guys are saying. It's to me, it's a 50-50 fight.
Who
But
has he had to? Well, you said the word survive. Who has he had to survive against though?
Okay, maybe the wrong.
Outboxed all of them easily.
Okay, I think okay.
He's never
So
been in trouble.
Yeah, I think I used the wrong word. Not just survive, like box
Yeah.
at an incredible pace, and he's so much faster than. He's so
He
much
is.
faster than.
Yeah, he is.
Beterbiev. His speed, his distance control, it's really at an elite level. Like, so I don't know. It's that old conversation about the boxer versus, the puncher. But then Beterbiev is not just a puncher; he's a
Yeah,
really.
nah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's this is probably the best fight in boxing. I'll be honest. This is
I think so, man. It's definitely top 3 for me. I mean, I can't think of 2 or 3 better fights in this fight right now. Period. It might be number 1. I don't know, but this is up there.
Yeah, and Bivol is Russian as well. He's like he can take punches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you think, Woog?
I do think it's a 50-50-ish fight. I feel like Bivol's power is a little bit underrated. He's not a knockout artist by any stretch, but he's got enough power to mitigate other people's attacks. You saw Zurdo Ramirez a lot more tepid, reluctant as the rounds went on, and he started getting hit cleanly with shots. You saw Zurdo Ramirez get backed into a corner a couple of times and started wondering, is he going to go down? Because when Bivol started to pour it on, you started to wonder. You saw Canelo looking like it was the 12th round in the 3rd and 4th round when Canelo would sit against the ropes and kind of say, come on. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, Canelo's not having his way in there. The one time Bivol, that he was in trouble that we remember would be that moment against Joe Smith Jr. at the end of one of the later rounds.
There's a couple big punches he landed in that fight that rocked Bivol a little bit. Yeah.
But by the end of it, Joe Smith was in trouble in the 12th round.
Yeah.
Bivol finished that fight very, very strong.
Right.
There's just something about Beterbiev's relentless pace and aggression and his underrated distance control as well. You see that he gets just out of range to get back in range. Mm-hmm. And once he gets back in range, he'll take a little subtle step to the side to then throw that short chopping right hand. He's got such an arsenal. To be honest, I've been back and forth on this one. I need to give this one a little more thought. My gut tells me that even at 38, Beterbiev can pull off the late stoppage. Although I do see Bivol as being one of the best round winners in the sport. You know how like Devin Haney, phenomenal round winner. You've got guys who can knock you out. Then you've got guys who will give up some rounds, like Gervonta Davis will give up some rounds to score the knockout. Beterbiev against Gvozdyk gave up some rounds, scored the knockout. But I feel like when in doubt, go with the better round winner. But there are exceptions, and Beterbiev's skill set, his mix of boxing and power might be that exception. But I think I might. I know I just said I was going Beterbiev, but the more I'm thinking about it as I'm talking, I'm saying Bivol by decision, man. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now.
And you know what? I have the track record of always not always, but most of the time I go with the guy that I just think overall is the better round winner. But this fight, I also believe that the two of them are so good. And I said this yesterday. I know people like to rank people pound for pound based on how many belts they hold or how many divisions they won titles in. But you're literally fighting two guys that I believe are pound for pound fighters, no matter what. And they only have fought in one division. Two guys that I believe that whatever's working for, I don't think no one storms through the other. I think whatever's working for either fighter, at some point they're going to have to adjust to what they're doing. I think for both. And that's what I think. I think it's more about, it's not just about Bivol's boxing skills and being able to read, speed and distance and all that. And I don't think it's all about Beterbiev and what he can do and his power. It's going to be a point where something is going to be working from one fighter. Something's going to change. and that other fighter is going to be having the advantage. And that next fighter might have to change what they're doing and bringing it back. I think they're both good. I know Bivol lacks the knockout power, but I think he has respectable power where you just can't run through too. You know, and I think the way he boxes with the feints, like I was saying that in the video, something about his feints are like the best. I think is one of the best in all of boxing. Like his feints, he feints so much that he makes the fighters that are in range second guess themselves. Like which jab is a real jab? He feints, jabs, pulls back, and feints again. Like you think another jab is coming out. Like he's very, very hard to predict. But then you got Better BF that is like he knows to take the jab away because the best punch he throws is that overhand right. He knows how to time it.
Yeah,
it really is. Even though I think Bivol is a better boxer a little bit, you can't underestimate Better BF's experience. I mean, like as an amateur, like this guy has been fighting guys like this all his life. Like this guy boxed late because he was an amateur for too long. You know what I mean? Knocking down Usyk, yes, that matter. Beating Kovalev, he's basically in their generation.
Yeah.
So Bivol is like, as phenomenal of a boxer he is, I haven't really had to see him struggle. Canelo was supposed to be that fighter.
Yeah.
And part of this debate is based on his performance against Canelo. He did so well against Canelo. It's just like, man, he made it look so easy.
And people often forget.
Better BF, in my opinion, at 175 is way more dangerous than Canelo Alvarez. I would have told you that before or after that fight. You know, way more dangerous.
You know what's crazy about that and how perceptions kind of shape reality? A lot of people forget that going into Canelo versus Bivol, Canelo was a heavy favorite. He was like a 4-1, 5-1 favorite in that one. He's a much bigger favorite against Bivol than Better BF. If Better BF's to be the favorite, will be against Bivol. Let me ask you this: can Better BF find Bivol with that jab, where Better BF likes to? He'll back up, he'll move laterally, he'll plant, and he'll throw like a jab. It could be a short jab, long jab, but it's like a battering ram of a jab. Can he find Bivol with that shot? Because I feel like when he does that, it sets up so many other things. And I'm just thinking that's kind of like the first gear to then get into second and third. Can he find Bivol with that sophisticated jab after moving laterally?
I think so. Why? Because if you watch Bivol, and I brought this up as well, Bivol likes to be close. Like people try to make him out to be like this maneuver and all that stuff. No. He likes to get right in the kitchen, like right away. You saw that in the Zerto Ramirez fight. You saw that in any fight. He's close. He's in range to hit. It's just hard to hit him that close up. But the jab, you'll see it in the Craig Richards fight. You'll probably see like someone that actually boxed pretty well against Bivol and probably hit him more than we're used to getting hit. Like Canelo, the Canelo fight, the jab wasn't even there. It's not even worth watching again. Canelo went through like 14 jabs in that fight. Where was it? It wasn't there. Canelo took the wrong, high guard trap approach where he just overdid it and he didn't rely on his jab so much like he did in other fights. But if you watch like the Craig Richards fight, you can see like him getting hit and his head popped back with jabs. And I think Better BF, who usually has to do a lot more to get in range to land that, he won't have to in this fight because Bivol is not going to be trying to back up. That's the thing about Bivol. Everybody talks about power. Bivol is going to want to be in control and he's going to want to back Better BF up. He's not going to want to be backed up.
He's not somebody who's just going to move around the perimeter of the ring and
people keep saying that though. I don't know about your comments, but people have been saying that about Bivol like he's a boring, like no. He's not boring. He just doesn't get the knockout. And he's so dominant that you want it to happen because it's like, yo, get this fighter out over with, just like he did with Lyndon Arthur.
Yeah.
He's so dominant that you want the knockout to come. It's like watching a Devin Haney fight against like Gamboa. It was a boring fight because Haney is winning every round easily. Gamboa has nothing for him, but for whatever reason, Haney just doesn't get him out of there.
Yeah.
So that it becomes like we're complaining, like we're snoozing. I mean, I was on live and I was damn near falling asleep watching the fight.
It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning over there.
Yeah,
by
I'm
the
like
time
sitting
that
here,
was.
I'm like damn near snoring on the live
Yeah.
because it was so boring.
Yeah.
So I think that's Bivol. I don't think Bivol is boring. If you look at the Zerto fight, if you look at like certain fights that where he's fighting like Joe Smith, where someone that's coming at him, then the fight is more entertaining. But if he's not fighting, if he's fighting someone that doesn't have anything for him offensively, it becomes boring because it's like, yo, you're beating them so easily, just knock them out already.
Yeah. You know,
So
the one thing about the Craig Richards one, and I don't want to discredit Craig Richards because that was a tough fight for Bivol, and Craig Richards did win some rounds. I look at that.
Good.
Yeah, he is, and he did well against Boatsy after that, right?
Yeah.
You know, with Beterbiev versus Adam Dynas, and then Bivol versus Craig Richards, I almost put an asterisk by both of those because that was kind of the post-COVID shutdown, return to the ring after several months, if not a year plus of inactivity.
Right.
I almost felt that Bivol had been out of the ring for so long that I didn't feel like I was getting the full, Dimitri Bivol in that Richards fight.
Right.
But again, I don't want to discredit Richards' efforts and his competitiveness in that. But yeah, I just always kind of take that little mental note about that fight specifically, and to a lesser degree, the following fight against Salamov, because that was another situation where Bivol was winning the rounds, couldn't get Salamov out of there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of that in Bivol's history, but yeah, he's a bit of an intimidator in the ring. He's not somebody who's trying to avoid the exchanges.
Right. All right. Yeah, he brings the fight straight to you, and he did that against Zerto. And at this time, you got to remember Zerto was a guy that people were saying Canelo and Bivol was avoiding him. And right away, Bivol was hurting him, knocking him around, bullying the guy in the ring. I mean, he made the guy go up and weight. Like he didn't even come back prepared against Gay Rosado. They canceled that fight. I was questioning, like, is this guy good?
Yeah.
I don't know mentally if he's really into the sport right now with that loss, because he got embarrassed. It gave him 2 rounds, maybe. And Bivol fought with him, like took shots and everything.
Yeah.
He fought with Ramirez, and that's another thing with this fight here with Beterbiev. How much can Bivol take if it gets there? How much can he take? How much damage? Like, I think Yard, not for nothing, even though Yard got busted up, Yard took a fair amount of damage. If he did better, and you know what, I will say this too, Yard hurt Beterbiev a couple of times. It's just that when he tried to follow up, then he got caught with an even harder shot. And it, like, Yard had the durability. I know he got stopped, but he took more hits than some of the other Beterbiev fighters. Bivol, he hasn't gotten hurt that much. He just got rocked by Joe Smith a couple of times.
Yeah.
And he recovered very well from those couple of times. So that's another thing. If Bivol has the durability, he can match Beterbiev with the boxing skills. At least at the very least, he can do that, if not better. It's a very hard fight to call. I can't argue with anyone that picks Bivol. I'm probably leaning towards Beterbiev simply because it's my gut. I just think he's gonna win.
And you've been to his fights. You've been to his fights in person, so I'm sure it's that the shock and awe.
I think he's legitimately the most dangerous puncher in all of sport right now. I think he is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. At the level he's fighting at 175, we rate people in pound for pound and stuff, but I think 175 has always been, like, for a while, been one of the toughest divisions. It just is, man. I mean, just look at the guys that just were champions: Ward, Kovalev, and Stevenson. Stevenson had crazy power. Kovalev had the boxing ability with the power. Ward had, Ward is just difficult to deal with. He takes your strengths away. Now we go into this class where you got the guys from 168 that moved up. Canelo dipped his toes at the division. You got all of these guys, and it's like, damn, these two are 2 of the very best. Really wanted, like, you can put them up there with. I would love to see them from other generations too. Like, I love having the discussions with how they would do against other generations. I think they're really that good.
Yeah.
They don't need the multiple. They don't need all of that.
And hopefully, unlike Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Kovalev, they finally make Beterbiev versus Bivol. And I always like to just kind of think of what a round robin between those four. I know Andre Ward's in the mix, and he's the one who knocked off Kovalev, just like Vostok eventually knocked off.
But he
Adonis
wasn't there
Stevenson.
that long, really. Yeah, he got the win and left. He didn't fight Stevenson.
No. And I mean, we wanted to see that. Who did he fight when he first came? It was Sullivan. Was it Sullivan Barrera when he first went to?
And that was a dangerous fight at the time because
yeah,
Barrera was having a good run, and wasn't he was he still undefeated at the time?
Yeah, it was before. Well, he had beaten Joe Smith. Remember, let me think. Yeah, I think both. I think that might have been Barrera's first loss against Andre Ward. I'd have to double check, but
Andre Ward's first fight back.
Alexander Brand or Alexander
was it Paul Smith? I can't remember because Andre Ward had he had injuries and then he had the promotional issues for a while. I can't remember what order or what fights.
All I know, third fight, right?
Huh?
Kovalev was his third fight back. After
I know it was. I think it was either. All right, I can't remember. I think it was Brand, then Barrera, and then Kovalev in the first fight. But that was tough. That was dangerous.
Yeah.
To get your feet wet at 175, and beating Barrera, and then schooling Barrera. I mean, he schooled him, dropped him, and then going over there to beat Kovalev was I personally think that Kovalev won the fight. Yeah. I personally take that. I hate to say it because I'm a Ward. Some of y'all call me a fanboy Ward. I think Kovalev won the fight.
Look, I know he rallied back. Ward did rally back, but going into the scorecard, I was a little sick to my stomach. I was like, Ward just took an L. That's what I was thinking before they read the scores,
Yeah. Kovalev won. Kovalev still won the fight, I mean, Ward rallied back, but even with the knockdown, even without the knockdown, I think Kovalev won it 7 rounds to 5 to me, Who
would you have picked between Adonis Stevenson and Sergey Kovalev in their prime? Who were you kind of thinking would have won that fight?
Crusher was the best to me.
That's the tough one.
But Stevenson knocked you out.
Yeah, Stevenson was a big puncher.
Yeah, Kovalev was like a boxing puncher. He had the power in both hands.
Yeah.
But Stevenson was like one. I know he was limited because he just had a big left hand, a big left cross or whatever. But it was like how Wilder was. He was like a southpaw Wilder. More skills to me, but it's just one punch. That's it. There's nothing you could do about it. It's it. It was like a cheat code.
Yeah.
But whenever he had the fights, was it from Faro? When he had those certain fights where he had to go rounds, that's when he struggled, and then he wasn't always fighting the best guys. He was fighting some decent fighters throughout his career, but Kovalev was definitely doing it better, with the Pascal fights, the Bernard Hopkins fight. I would have given to Kovalev. If I had to pick a winner, Kovalev was fighting the better fighters to me. And Kovalev was just more he just had more tools to me. He was really, really good, Regardless of how you feel about him, he's a good boxer. He was a very, very good boxer in his prime.
Yeah. Now,
how do you think Ward would have done against Beterbiev?
Wait, one of them did it. One of what?
Ward.
Against now. Ward. Oh, you said Ward.
Yeah.
Now I was thinking about
Ward against.
I saw people talking about it, man. I try to avoid it. I did a video on it though before. I did a live before, I think, talking about those three in that generation against Beterbiev and Bivol. Beterbiev, I think, would have been the hardest fight for Ward out of everybody. I think his strength. Ward is very good at, again, taking the strengths of a lot of these fighters away with his style, especially because of how physically strong he is. I think people underestimate that. you know, I've said this about certain fighters being good fighters. Kovalev, his weakness was that he had power, but he wasn't physically strong and dealing with guys that was in a pocket with him. But Turbiev, on the other hand, would have gave Ward problems because of that. I think Beterbiev, out of all of those guys, even from the last generation, that was what Beterbiev would have been good at dealing with, is Ward and his inside game.
Physicality.
You know, it's kind of like a trade-off. You know, Ward would have had to rely more on his boxing on the outside than changing. And I'm not saying Beterbiev is stronger, but that's a strength that Ward had that I think he would have struggled with a little bit in that fight, especially with the power of Beterbiev, and his jabs and his feints. Like Ward struggled with the timing of Kovalev in the first fight. It's just Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev can do all of those things, and I think he would have been even a more difficult fight than Sergey Kovalev was, for sure. You know, I think that was the worst. That would have been out of everybody. I mean, even if you include Canelo, out of all those guys, even if you include Volsik too, because I don't like Volsik was very good. You know, unfortunately, he ran into Beterbiev first. But Volsik was very, very good. And I think if you include all those guys from that time to this time, Beterbiev had the best chance of beating Ward, to me. To me, at all. Even Bivol. I think Ward would have did certain things that would have give Bivol trouble, would have gave Triple G trouble. But I think Beterbiev is it's too difficult, man.
Yeah. Even looking at some of his workouts where he's just taking the barbell, he's just flipping it and catching it with his wrist.
His workouts are insane.
Yeah.
Next
level.
Yeah.
There is kind of an elephant in the room, and I don't know if you guys discussed it earlier with Beterbiev, but I know that there's a difference between an atypical finding and an adverse finding, right? Atypical is if you are testing high in levels, like if your testosterone or HGH is higher than normal, that's atypical. Whereas adverse is if you actually test positive for a banned substance, which he did not, which Beterbiev did not. Are you making any mental notes or taking anything away from the atypical, higher than average testosterone in a 38-year-old?
Yeah, I brought it up. Again, I think it's something that you could do nothing more than just keeping a mental note of it. You know, just like there's going to be some suspicions there now with some people, but he didn't actually fail a test. So it's like, okay, maybe something's going on. Some people are going to say maybe he's cycling off. I also brought up, like, a lot of these fighters are taking substances that are illegal that might have caused that too. I don't know. I'm not a drug expert, but I think that it's something to keep your eye on and nothing more. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, he's officially clean.
Yeah.
We know that people take things and they do beat tests. Yeah. But I am not the type to, you know, call someone a drug cheat unless they actually fail. It's just the way I am.
You gotta be careful with those things, right? I mean, an allegation like that is crippling to a reputation. So it's, you know, I think it's incumbent upon, you know, people who are, you know, talking the fight game to be measured in, like you said, take a mental note. It is what it is. It's something to be aware of.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people who jump the gun and immediately start like throwing out accusations, and that's just not productive, or, you know, for the whole boxing ecosystem.
Yeah. And they start digging into your past, and there was somebody, can't think of the name of somebody saying that their past fight, I don't know if it was Alicia Baumgartner or somebody was saying that, Mayer jumped out recently and said that there was an issue with the drug test the last time when they fought, or there was no drug test, or I don't know. I seen something the other day, and I'm like, you know, if you're a Bivol, you want drug testing the most the best drug testing that you can have.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, the guy is 38 years old, you know, and having this higher level, higher than average testosterone coming back at this point. Yes, you want that to be implemented in the contract and whatever you guys are going to do. You know, I just think at this point, I mean, any high level fighter at this point should want it.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're doing it yourself. You
That's one
know,
thing I
I mean, if
appreciate
you're
about
completely clean at this point, you shouldn't be worried about the drug test itself. So I think, you know, instead of making the excuses, you know, it could have been, a lot of people looked at it as like a excuse on the outcome of the fight. And that's the only reason why it came out, because this probably happens all of the time, but it doesn't come out because there's no positive test. You know? So,
and the other thing I was going to say is what Beterbiev did is something he's been doing even from like his amateur fights. He's been beating guys up. So so you can't read much into it. It's not a failed test.
yeah, I mean, especially when we see you say in the workout and the training, and you watch some of the things that he's been able to do. It makes sense of why he is so strong. You know, when you're working out and doing those wrist exercises like that, you can see where the power comes from. Because not everybody can do that kind of stuff. No one's doing that. You know, none of these guys are doing that to prepare for a fight. That's probably why he gets injured all the time. Because he's doing some real. Let's say I seen him, you know, with the stick going like this with his wrist and just twirling it, and it's like that looked like he's so close to having a wrist injury from doing that. But he's probably been doing it for so long, it's like nothing for him to do it.
But it is extreme. It is.
Yeah, it's very extreme. But yo, if the guy is doing that year round, and even when he doesn't have he's not blowing up in between. I've never seen a guy look out of shape. I've never seen him do it. He's living a boxer's life for real.
Literally,
You know, and I say this about all these fighters all the time. You know, everybody's making all these excuses. That's what's happening with Spence right now. You know, and he even said it. I've been saying it for years. What Spence just tweeted the other day, like, "Oh, I was due to get my ass kicked at some point. I wasn't living my life as a boxer." We knew that. You know, but yeah, like he's really living it. I've never seen him blow up in between fights, and that's part of the reason why he's beating these guys up the way he's doing it.
And same with Bivol, right? The consistency in terms of always looking like you're prepared, where you're not too far off weight wise, where you don't have to, you know, do anything drastic to get back down into fighting shape. It seems like Dimitri Bivol more or less is living that lifestyle as well. I know that he was going through personal things, you know, last year, and so, but it seems like he's really committed as well.
Yeah, and I remember what boxer I heard say this many years ago, probably when I first started doing content, but he was like, whatever they said, it was like, yeah, I mean, you blowing up in between fights, you half of the preparation is about you just losing the weight, shaking the weight off, and then the other half is preparing for your opponent. If you're already in shape, you know, all you got to do is maybe drop a few pounds, but that's going to come naturally anyway, because you're already close to the weight and you're already training and preparing. You know, Francis Ngannou said down the presser today, he's like, I don't really cut weight. Because I'm working out, I lose a few pounds. But I walk around the weight that I am. I'm always training. I'm in shape. You know,
which is crazy, because the UFC heavyweight limit is 265, so he would actually usually have to lose a few pounds to make it to that 265 limit. But he always looks like he's healthy.
Yeah, he walks around at 275, but we never seen him look blown up. No. He's already fit. You know, I mean, even AJ in between fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say AJ too is pretty.
Yeah, AJ. He doesn't blow up, but you can tell like you don't see as much definition in between fights, but he's still built. You know, he's naturally like that, but he doesn't blow up. You know, you don't see all of the definition as much, but he probably doesn't gain that much weight.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the problem with like Sean Porter was one of those guys that early on he said like, because he as an amateur he fought like at 160 or whatever, right? He fought like Danny Jacobs and all these guys that were middleweights as an amateur, and Sean used to have really like a lot of issues making 147, but he said at one point that he stopped, like he wouldn't go above 154 at some point. Because remember, Adrian Broner, I think this might have been around the time when he fought AB, because AB fought him at a catchweight at like 144, 143 or something at that time. And I remember Sean Porter saying like, yo, from now on, like I work out all the time. So I stay like below 154 to make 147, so I don't have to go so hard with cutting the weight.
Yeah.
And a lot of people you have to give these boxers credit for that. Like you do. This is why some of them are so good. Like Sean Porter might not be the most technically sound, especially earlier on. Like people used to say even I said he fight like a football player sometimes. But the reason why he competed is because he was disciplined. He was committed. It's guys like AB, Adrian Broner, who had the talent, but he just didn't have the discipline to do it. He just didn't.
His volume could never be there because he wasn't working out like that. Whereas Sean Porter could always be relied upon to go a hard 12 rounds, which in itself will put you in the fight if you could go a hard 12. Sean Porter, he's built he reminds me of like a star high school running back, just in terms of his body structure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just a total workhorse. Timothy Bradley used to blow up between fights as well, right? Wasn't that kind of his reputation?
Every single nobody's worse than Ricky Hatton.
Ricky Fatton is what he said they used to call him, right?
Yo, you look at that guy, you'd be like, yo, Tim Bradley's up there too, though. But Ricky Hatton, bro. I mean, Jesus, this guy was really a fat dude, and he was shred down.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
Tyson Fury as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Tyson Fury as well. But Tyson Fury, he doesn't have that physique generally. Like naturally, he's a fat dude. He never had it. Like guys like AJ and Ngannou. Those guys have the physique where Tyson Fury doesn't even look like a boxer, even when he's in shape.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the body.
And he owns it too. He says like, but a fat man will fight forever. You know what I mean? He's always saying, kind of saying that, it's if you've got the Andre Berto like musculature, that could actually like zap your energy in the middle and late rounds, which I think there's some truth to it.
Philly says James Toney. Yeah. James Toney struggled with weight all of those years. I mean, the fact that he stayed at middleweight as long as he did was saying a lot, because I actually watched a documentary years back where he was just basically, talking about like the weight, all these years having these weight issues, at middleweight, at light heavy, just the weight was always a problem with him. He struggled and he got big over in between fights every single time.
It's just crazy to consider that he went from being middleweight champion to beating Evander Holyfield. That's
heavyweight. Yeah.
That's wild. I see that you've been on for 2.5 hours, man. First of all, salute. I mean, that's, you really, and some of those fight companions, those watch alongs, man. I know you're on those for several hours sometimes. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, man.
And for always, holding it down with that.
7 hours was the recent one. I think was it the Day of Reckoning? That was the
Day of all day.
I think I did 7-8 hours at the end, and then I got off and then recorded a recap of the card.
Same night, right?
Yeah, talking for that long. It is what it is, but you know what? It's worth it. People love it, man. It's good to just have people that support and they want to really hear you. And you got, with me, I have all these people from around the world watching, which is cool to me. Someone, the gentleman that was on here earlier said something about like me should having more subscribers and stuff. And I know how I would be able to have more subscribers, not just put more content, but it's a lot of the people's followers are when they are going hard at other channels, which I will never do. I'm not that kind of channel. I don't diss other channels. And a lot of my content is not just basically destroying fanboys. You know, like they're gonna be always there. And one thing is when you put so much time and effort in destroying like specific fighters, fanboys, you're also leaving out other fanboys, because I believe every boxer have fanboys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if your primary focus is one or two specific fighters or a group of specific fighters, you're leaving out the other fanboys that's out there, because there are people that are totally like oblivious to what's really going on. You know, all of these fighters have some of the same faults.
Yeah.
You know, but we focus primarily on like specific fighters that we don't like, or maybe they're the rival of the fighter that I like. So I want to follow the guy that's talking shit about the fighter I dislike.
Yeah, yeah. It's become a bit of a soap opera with a lot of what's drawing eyeballs.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, Woo, because you actually do the homework and you put a lot of effort into your content, which a lot of people, anybody can get on here and turn the camera on and just talk shit. Like, it's easy for us to do. You know, I go into my rants every now and then, but I don't go too hard because I don't want to disrespect the fighters, you know, because I'm not doing it. You know, I'm not, at the end of the day, I might, if I'm dissing you, I'm only dissing you compared to another fighter. You know, I'm not like talking like I'm getting in there and doing it. And some of these guys go in there and they just so disrespectful. Like, this guy's a bum. He fought bums his whole career. He never did nothing. I might talk about you in a sense that I'm comparing you to another fighter at your level.
From a technical standpoint.
Yeah, I'm not doing it like personally, like, hey, you suck. Like, you're trash. You never beat anyone good. What? Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm not boxing. I'm not in there doing that.
Yeah.
So I always keep it respectful and I always stay in my place when it comes to this, you know, and I think I'm gonna continue doing it that way, you know, and I know I can gain followers. Some videos that I don't even like have a lot of views because I was dissing someone or I was giving them the business. But personally, that's not the kind of content I want to make.
You don't want to have to go there that often.
It's just like every once in a while you got to do it. But
yeah.
You know, it's not the kind of channel I have.
Yeah.
You know, I like to give analysis. So, you know, it's not always about views. Sometimes you just want to just keep, you know.
Yeah, you want to stay true to yourself.
Yeah, I'm not like that. I'm not like that in person. I'm just not. This is how I am in person. I can't get on here and just and a lot of people don't have their face on here. So a lot of these guys can do all of that, and then they could go to a fight and no one knows who they are. You know, I go to a fight that I'm running to these guys all the time. You think I want to run into one of these guys and then I have a problem because I'm on here talking shit? Like, no, I go to these fights. I don't want to run into these guys.
Yeah, it's like the boxing community is a small community, man, right? It's like
nah, man. You know, sometimes I go and run into certain fans, like fanboys of certain fighters, and they want to debate with me right there. But it's always respectful. You know, I've never had anyone be aggressive to me in person. Like, nah, even with the fighters, I've always I wouldn't say one fighter. One fighter, I ain't gonna say his name on here, but one fighter saw me and he felt the way about me a little bit. But his peoples that was with him respected my channel. So I ain't gonna say his name on here though. I think I did years ago, but I ain't gonna say it on here no more. But yo, anyway, guys, thank you for checking in, man. I'm gonna get on out of here, man. Enjoy the rest of the day. Make sure you guys subscribe to my guy here. What's good, Woog? Coyote, a long time supporter. You know, thank you. We chopped it up off camera too before. Thank you. I appreciate you. You guys want to say anything before we get out of here?
Oh no, thank you for dropping the link. Definitely appreciate the channel and good talking with you as well, Coyote. I want to chop it up sometime in the near future. I do want to ask you one quick question. Do you think that the Saudi involvement in making these super fights that regular promotions can't make, will that somehow backfire on the boxing business? Like in the long run, is this good or not good for boxing?
This is the first topic I talked about when the Day of Reckoning card was announced. Because I realized at that point, like, these guys are here to stay. because of the amount of time they were able to make that card. They literally called everybody up. Everybody agreed. Whatever number they drew out, it was so good that everyone just agreed to it. It was no problem. But when it comes to Vegas or when it comes to London or when it comes to New York, it seems like these guys can't make the fight. So I am still concerned about that. It looks like 2024, we're already starting with a card with AJ and Ngannou, and we got Fury and Usyk happening. So they are giving us the fight. Worst case scenario, I mean, worst case, yeah, I guess worst case scenario right now, it seems that is going to be the mecca of boxing, which means that people that like to go to live fights are going to have to travel out there to see those big ones.
For the mega ones, yeah.
For the mega ones. That's the worst case scenario because they can clearly they have the funds to make these guys' purses very good.
Yeah.
Because they're just overnight, they're agreeing to these fights. When it comes to everywhere else, though, I don't know. You know, it's 50-50 because look, it's brought a lot of people together that weren't willing to deal with each other before.
Yeah.
Eddie and Frank is now sitting there acting like they're buddies.
Which is weird. It was just weird to see, like you said, it was weird to see that. Looked like they were like
weird,
either hostages or just
these guys are sitting there like everything is good, you know? It's
money solves a lot of problems.
And you know what? It's always been about the money. It's always about the money. Boxing fans got to understand that everyone thinks that everything is about everything but the money. It's about the money. Anything can happen with the right money. You guys, you make the right call. Hey, this is the money. This is the numbers we're talking. Okay, sure, cool. I'll take it. That's what it's always been about.
Yeah.
You know, boxer fans make it about all of this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes it could be a factor, all these other things, but it's about the money out there. Everyone's looking to get paid. Yeah. This is prize fighting, not, you know, everybody's made it about it's just too gossipy now. You know,
who's winning the narrative, basically, who's owning who on Twitter, just all of the things that don't have anything to do with, you know, the square circle.
But it could backfire because what if these guys are getting overpaid right now?
Well, see, that's the thing. Is it a sustainable model? I don't know what those numbers are looking like in terms of whether the Saudis are making a profit. I see it as a marketing expense. It's raising their profile. It's making them the global Vegas. It's really doing a lot for their reputation. It's endearing them to the West, you know, to the West, Europe, and the United States, North America. And so they're putting themselves in this position. But what if they want to pull out when it's no longer worth those marketing expenses? Whereas the promoters, they're doing the bean counting. They're looking at the bottom line. Are we in the red? Are we in the black? The Saudis, I don't think, are really concerned about that with some of these mega events where they're saying, name your price. Okay, let's make it happen. 2 months? What are you doing on Thursday? You know, I don't know if that's a sustainable model.
Yeah, especially when they're not doing a fight. So because I feel like now I don't even like when the promoter's saying, you know, let's see if the money, you know, is right in Saudi Arabia. Like sometimes they say that when they're discussing two fighters, you know, would we get better BF and Bivol if it wasn't a Saudi? Will we even get that fight? Because it seemed like for a long time we were never going to get that fight. How did the fight go from the WBC is not sanctioning a fight to now we're getting it next? Bob is saying, hey, yeah, you know, it's not done, but you know, it's most likely going to be out there next. You know, that was not what we were hearing before. I couldn't even tell from either side, from Eddie or from Bob, who was at fault at this fight not happening. Yeah. So now it's just like whenever the Saudis are involved, it seemed like it's going to work. But what about the rest of the world? You know, like what happens when they're not involved in a fight? You know, what about all the other fights that we want? Does it take them? You know, I mean, they're doing a great job with like light heavyweight and heavyweights, but what about the smaller divisions like lightweight and even welterweight or whatever, where we want fights And like, what are you gonna do? You gotta have to pay them a lot too. And what happens when you guys are not around? Are they willing to pay to have these fights in London or in the O2 or whatever?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think they might need a market correction where some of the fighters who are getting accustomed to getting paid a certain amount might have to kind of recalibrate given the current boxing business environment. And unless the Saudis are involved, it's like if the Saudis want to wave a magic wand and make something happen and throw money at it, okay, that's one way of making a fight. Otherwise, it seems like everything will have to be scaled way down to, be in some of the more, local places and for the non-mega fights to take place or big fights even in the lower divisions. I think the Saudis are just looking to do it big, like literally, physically big with the heavyweights because those make the biggest splashes aside from like the Spence Crawford type of fight or maybe a Gervonta Davis fight. But I don't know what the level of investment across weight classes the Saudis are interested in. And
let me bring this up then, because we don't know what the day of reckoning pay-per-view numbers did, right? And we don't know the purposes neither. Yeah. Is it better that we don't?
Probably.
From a consumption standpoint, yeah.
Because I mean, I do believe that fans and content creators like ourselves have a lot of influence on boxing, on social media, all that. I think we have a lot of influence. And, when we don't know the numbers and stuff is just happening, and maybe it could be a better thing that we don't know. I mean, like, whatever's going on behind the scenes, they're making it work. It's working out there though in that specific place. Moving forward, maybe I think listen. I know a lot of sports. We know about contracts. We know about deals that are made. But when it comes to boxing and being that is an individual one-on-one type of fighting thing, maybe it's better that we don't know. I'm tired of people downplaying certain fights because the boxing fans are saying there's no money in the fight. Boxing fans are saying it. I've heard it for Bevo and Better View. There's no money in the fight. Like, who are you, Bob Arum? Like, why are you saying that? Now I know it's about the money. So of course, like certain fights are only going to take place because the fight, because at the end of the day, the fight is about money. But I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough to call when it comes to that. I'd rather not know. I'd rather talk more about the fight itself than talking about the purses and the pay-per-view numbers, because some of these, I mean, look at the content creators, and most of them I don't even watch anymore because that's all they're talking about. Yeah. They're not even talking about the fights. They're talking about how much that whole Spence thing with the 30% and I should give you 20, and that's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? How did we get here?
It's like all of a sudden the fans are deciding who is valued and worth what.
Exactly. So I don't know. Maybe they should keep it that way. But again, we won't know the answer to all of this, at least for another year, because we got to see how this year goes. Now that they're proven to be a major player in boxing, we got to see how the rest of it goes, and I think certain fights won't happen unless we get them out there, like maybe a Tank and like a Haney. Yeah. I don't think it might not happen. It might not happen unless we get it out there. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to get on out here. Coyote, thank you again. Woog, thanks for coming through. Thanks for everyone that was here earlier. Please, guys, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys follow my man, What's Good Woog. And I'm going to get on out of here, man.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.